Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, presented by Relief Windows. I'm Matt.
Love you, Matt.
Joseph Rodriguez. And the Brain.
And the Brain got a poop.
All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there, make it a good one. Brain did not have the Joseph Rodriguez drop handy because we are live on site at the Sazerac House, corner of Magazine and Canal. And I could not be more pumped. Those of you watching on CST or the Watch 104.5 ESPN YouTube channel, welcome into the very beautiful Sazerac House. If you've heard me rave about this building, it's, 150 years old? I mean, it's a 150-year-old building that they've got renovated, turned into a museum, and an homage to one of the great traditions of this city and our state, drinking. So join us. Well, I wish you could join us here today. Sazerac House is closed on Monday, but we're going to bring you lots of the sights and et cetera from here today. It's so interesting because I got so much energy and I'm so pumped to be here, but it's one of the crappiest days ever for an LSU fan. So unfortunately we have to talk about that, but it is also Monday Night Football. Quick rundown, Steve Levy, the voice of Monday Night Football, he'll be with us in 12 minutes from right now. We'll also talk to former Saint linebacker Scott Shanley next hour. We will go out to Los Angeles and visit with Gilbert Manzano, who covers the Chargers for the LA Times. Sean Fazende will give us a scene setter from up at the Dome in hour number 3. So we are jam-packed, a ton of Monday Night Football stuff for you. The Saints will be without Michael Thomas. A big story over the weekend is that the Saints all-pro wide receiver suspended. He got into an altercation with his teammate Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Candidly, if you're going to call yourself CD Deuce, I may want to punch you too. But it's neither here nor there. I'm not casting aspersions anywhere. I just think when you're talking about alpha males that are in a super emotional setting, it happens. It's not new. Michael Jordan punched Steve Kerr. Ryan Clark got our friend Ryan Clark got into a fight with Antonio Brown at Steelers practice. I remember Ike Anakpale, who trained at Traction in Baton Rouge, punched his teammate Geno Smith and broke his jaw when they were with the Jets. It's not new. It's disappointing, but candidly, actually kind of excited because it gives Michael Thomas another 2 weeks, this week and the bye, to get to be absolutely 100% before you come off the bye and you hit a stretch where you got a couple of winnable games with Carolina and the Bears before you take on Tampa in Tampa. So we'll talk much more about that and the impact of Michael Thomas's absence. Look, by now you've had 48 hours. You've had 48 hours of reaction to LSU's loss, and our post-game show, Whiskey and Wine, was heated right after the game. I know Eagle 98.1 Game Day and basically every show today have all been super emotional, and you should be as well. I mean, if you're an LSU fan and you're angry, embarrassed, upset, all of the above, you should be. LSU's lost 2 games now in historic fashion to 2 teams they have no business losing to. And I completely understand why you've got LSU fans, but by extension coaches and players, upset as well. I'm not sure that today I can really say anything new that hasn't been said over the last 48 hours. But sometimes hearing it in a different way can cause the message to resonate. So there's 3 things with respect to Saturday that I want to hit on. And I'll do it here, and for the rest of the show when we talk about it, it's going to be more about what LSU looks like this week against Florida and moving forward the rest of the season and even beyond, because there's very legitimate questions now about this defensive staff that have to be asked, and we will ask them. But there's the game, there's obviously the defense, and then there were the good things, because there were good things to come out of Saturday, even though the loss, I often say sometimes winning masks deficiencies because of the elation of a win. You tend to ignore the bad. The flip side can be true. Whenever you lose a game, you can ignore the good things that happen, which we will get to. But the game itself, LSU led this game 5 different times. They led this game at Missouri 5 different times. And 5 different times they couldn't hold or build the lead. Despite your defense being historically bad, you still could be a 3-0 football team, should be a 3-0 football team. You had 4 plays from inside the 2 you couldn't score. This, by the way, this loss Saturday was not on the offense. Please don't misunderstand me. My point is, in spite of how bad your defense was, you still could have and probably should have still won that game. The Mississippi State game. We forget, even though LSU was historically bad, allowed 623 pass yards, the most in the history of the SEC in one game, you were in a tie ball game at 34 in the 4th quarter with the ball and a chance to go take the lead and win the game. and you went 3 and out, gave State the ball, they scored 1. Even though you've been super bad, you could and probably should be 3 and 0 right now. But instead, you're 1 and 2. Let's talk about the defense, because we must. Most people have looked at what happened Saturday and have asked the question, was LSU's talent just overhyped? And my answer categorically is no. LSU has Sunday players that are losing to Saturday players. We talked about it last week. Missouri has one guy on their offense. That's a surefire NFL guy. It's their running back, Larry Roundtree. He's the only one. And then you find out they're without 3 of their top 5 receivers because of COVID. And the fact that you have a freshman quarterback throwing for 400 yards and putting up 45 points on you like it's nothing is embarrassing. And I don't know how else to say this. Jacoby Stevens is going to play in the NFL. Jabril Cox, Glenn Logan, Todd Harris, they're all NFL guys after this season, and then you add guys like Derek Stingley, who you know is going to be an NFL guy. Ali Gay is going to be an NFL guy. Like, you have Sunday players getting embarrassed by Saturday players, and the variable is coaching. There's no other way around it. You can talk about loafs. You can talk about guys not playing hard. I'm not an X and O guy. I'm not going to sit here and talk about, well, you had a corner blitz and a cover 2, and this guy should have released. That's not what I do. We got tons of super talented football minds on our station and all over that answer those questions. What I know is LSU's players are better than Missouri's, and they lost. That means your coaching wasn't good. That's what it means. And people are asking right now, is Bo Pelini's job in jeopardy? And that is a very valid question. I would expect you to ask that question. The answer right now is no, for the same reason why after in 2017 you got blown out by Mississippi State and you lost to Troy, people said, hey, let's fire Ed. Remember that? You were probably in that crowd because most of you are the same people right now wanting to fire Bo Pelini. I'm not defending Bo Pelini, but my point is you hired him, you're paying him $2.3 million. He deserves the chance to see if he can fix it and get it right. We've seen gut check moments before in this program with this head coach. We referenced 2017. You remember what happened after LSU lost to State and lost to Troy, and then they had to go to Florida, and people are going, they may not win again. You know what happened? They only lost one more time the rest of the year. They won at Florida the next week. They had a great comeback to beat Auburn. They beat everybody else on their schedule except Alabama. They finished 9-3. They got it right. And Ed Orgeron deserves the benefit of the doubt because he's shown in his time at LSU that he can steer that ship right. Now, there's another very glaring question that we need to ask and discuss, which is, can Ed Orgeron identify coaching talent? He swung and missed on Matt Canada. He swung and missed on Jerry Sullivan. So far, this is not a connection with Bo Pelini or with Scott Linehan. The one guy that he really gets credit for is Joe Brady. And after that success in one season, he didn't try to replicate that hire with another young mind. He went and hired a very old-school, antiquated way of thinking coach. It's very fair to ask that question. Time will play out. Ed's won a championship. He deserves the benefit of the doubt and the opportunity to get it right. But the reality is he inherited Dave Aranda. He inherited Steve Ensminger. So if you're going to build this program and the functionality on figurehead, emotion, almost like mascot of the program who's going to be an awesome recruiter, hire, delegator, that's great. You got to hire great coaches. You've got to be able to hire elite-level coaches and not miss, because if you miss, you see what's happening right now. Now you have the roller coaster, the ebbs and the flows. And right now, Pelini's a miss. It's early. Let's see if he can get it right. I mentioned there was good, and there was. Miles Brennan threw for 430 yards and 4 touchdowns. You realize last year in the regular season, Joe Burrow had 2 400-yard games, Texas and Ole Miss, that's it. Now, he did it against Oklahoma and then against Clemson as well in huge stages, but that was Joe Burrow. My point is, let's not be numb to what Miles Brennan is doing because it's magnificent. You won the turnover margin 3-0. Reed Gilbert looked like an absolute freak show in the first half where they were really committing to feeding him the ball. You got a great stop on a fake punt. Zach Von Rosenberg has been magnificent. You hit a 51-yard field goal a week after hitting a 52-yard field goal. Largely, your special teams have been very good. Keyshawn Booty was the third receiver in as many weeks to emerge as the number 2 guy. The first week it was Jeray Jenkins. The second week it was 13, and then this week it was Keyshawn Booty. So, look, man, my point is there's a lot there to like. You've got a lot of do you have more talent than South Carolina, Arkansas, Ole Miss? Yes. Bama, no. Florida, it's close. You see what Florida did this past weekend? My point is there's enough games on the schedule where you can win. You can get to or slightly above 500, but you can't do it playing the way you're playing right now. So the challenge is, the chore is, can they right the ship? And that's where we're going to move from this point forward is, how do they get this thing going in the right direction instead of just spending all of our time complaining about what happened on Saturday, because Saturday was miserable. And I'd love to flush it, but they better learn from it. Otherwise, they're going to get embarrassed on Saturday in the Swamp. It's After Further Review, brought to you by Relief Windows. We are live from the Sazerac House in New Orleans on the corner of Magazine and Canal. This place is absolutely stunning. The bottom floor, the lobby, is a gift shop. They also have the distillery where they actually distill Sazerac rye here in this building. Second and third floors are the museum. When you come in, you can take guided tours. Fourth floor is their ballroom, which is stunning. That's where we'll be watching the Saints game tonight. Make it a point when you're in the city to come check out the Sazerac House. It's After Further Review. Let me knock out a quick break. We'll come back. The voice of Monday Night Football. He'll be on the call tonight for Saints Chargers. Steve Levy joins us next. It's AFR. AFR is brought to you by Pluckers, Nicholson, Bluebonnet. Dine in, carry out 24 flavors of award-winning jumbo chicken wings, ice-cold draft beer, full-service bar, sports on TV. That means Monday Night Football tonight. If you're in Baton Rouge and you're looking for a place to watch Monday Night Football, go to Pluckers. You want to know another great reason, aside from the fact that they got ice-cold draft beer, full-service bar, 60 flat screens all over the place? Monday's all-you-can-eat wings. How about that? So go early. Pay one low price, eat as many wings as you want all day long, sample every one of their 24 flavors of award-winning jumbo chicken wings, and then the Saints will kick off, and you can stay through the entirety of that football game, celebrate a little black and gold win, scream hoot at the top of your lungs. They'll pipe the sound through the restaurant. Pluckers, it's an awesome chance to get by. Nicholson just south of campus, Bluebonnet right in front of the Mall of Louisiana. Dine in or carry out every Monday is all-you-can-eat wings. Remember, at Pluckers, where if you don't like our wings, we'll give you the bird. Oh, God. I can't hear you over the spot. Rolling along here on a Monday edition of AFR from the Sazerac House in New Orleans. Monday shows are brought to you by Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Windows door siding, Relief Windows, and ReliefWindows.com. Steve Levy, the voice of Monday Night Football, set to join us here in just a quick second. It is Saints-Chargers tonight from the Dome. This is a phenomenal opportunity for the Saints. And I know all throughout the later part of last week we talked about it, but it's just if the Saints right now can move to 3-2, you're talking about a magnificent opportunity to go into your bye at 3-2, get healthy, come out of the bye with what looks like 2 winnable games before you have to make the return trip to Tampa. So huge, huge ramifications tonight's ball game for the Saints hosting the Chargers in the Dome. Game is on Monday Night Football. It'll be called by Steve Levy. He's on Twitter at ESPN Steve Levy, and he's going to have to join us for a couple of minutes here. Steve, thanks so much for the time, man. How are you? I'm doing really well. I tweeted you this, but I'm going to do it live on air. You get the gold star for getting Clyde Edwards-Helaire's name right, as our LSU audience certainly can appreciate that. So wait, did you ask him, or did you ask like an SID how to say it? You point out the pronunciation guide, Steve, but the point is like even the home broadcaster for the Chiefs still don't know how to say his name. I would imagine tonight, though, you're not going to have those problems. I want to talk about the game in a second, and the game is seldom about the announcers, but since I have you here, I want to ask. I mean, I know you've been at ESPN since '93, and I know I grew up with you on Sportscenter, and then, of course, a ton of NHL coverage, but being at that network for as long as you have, man, a quarter century, and now you're the voice of Monday Night Football, like, do you pinch yourself sometimes when you look at this opportunity? Yeah. Yeah. All right. Steve Levy is our guest on Twitter at ESPN Steve Levy. By the way, Steve, don't reference the other Death Valley in these parts because that's like a curse word if you try to do that. I'm just trying to help you with the locals. There's not going to – I respect it. Hey, look, you're not going to have that crowd and that environment tonight in the Dome, which obviously is impactful. Do you think that, like, as best you can tell being in these venues now with limited or no crowd so far through almost a month, like, can you tell how much of a difference that's making, any like tangible difference in these games?
because then Justin Herbert has to deal with it. And he's never dealt with anything like what he would have had to deal with tonight if the Superdome was packed. So, I think that's one of the areas that's really played a role. And I think it's sort of providing your own energy, your own juice. Your team gets down. Can you summon enough energy if you're the home team to try to get back in it? There's nothing like a big third down for the home crowd on the defense to get everybody roaring and get the team fired up and make it hard on the visiting offense. And so you lose all of that. The cool thing on TV is, I think, and you tell me how you feel, but you're hearing a lot more from the field. You're getting the great sounds, the great quarterback sounds, and probably even some bad words you shouldn't be listening to from the field. But we got great audio that's coming through those television speakers, and that's probably the only upside of the fact we don't have fans in the stadium. So we go to Dallas next week, and that'll be the first time, week 6, that we'll have a crowd for Monday Night Football, and we're looking forward to that too.
Steve, is there no producer with their thumb on a dump button?
No, there is. There is. We might have more than one, quite frankly. Right. We got a big operation, and we might have one in New York, one in Bristol. I think it's like a 5-second delay. And you do hear us. There'll be some cutouts occasionally, the audio. I believe that's that. Yeah. Or maybe it was Riddick or Greasy swearing. I can't be sure.
or maybe it was Patrick Mahomes' mom swearing through the TV at
we went through that, yeah.
Steve Levy's our guest on Twitter at ESPN Steve Levy. So you just talked about, obviously, Justin Herbert. I'm curious, I know you get a chance to talk to the coaches. When you talked to Anthony Lynn, did he mention anything about, look, obviously there's going to be no Eckler tonight, and then also Trey Turner, who's a guy people here are very familiar with from his time at LSU, and then Brian Bulaga. I mean, you're missing the right side of the offensive line and your best running back. How much of an impact is that on tonight's ball game?
Yeah, man. Hey, tough spot. There's no getting around it. This is a difficult spot. Look, if they were healthy, it would be even difficult. But now the fact without 5 starters on defense too. You mentioned Turner and Bulaga, and the center should be Mike Pouncey. I mean, so there you go. That's 3/5 of your starting line. And so Dan Feeney's come in and done a nice job there. So they are up against it. Young Joshua Kelly's had some problems hanging onto the football. Had a tough fumble in a bad spot last week prior to halftime against Tampa. Probably cost the Chargers the game. So there's no question. They are up against it. Joey Bosa is not 100%. We expect him to go, but he won't be full on. Kenneth Murray in the middle of that Chargers defense, as good a rookie as he is, he's still a rookie. And Drew and the Saints, they run a very fast, complicated, multiple kind of offense. So there's no question the Chargers are in a tough spot here tonight.
Steve, on the flip side, what did Sean Payton and the staff tell you about what happened with Michael Thomas and Chauncey Gardner-Johnson?
Yeah, so actually we had not gotten it from Sean. We spoke to Sean. Let me get this right for you. We talked on Saturday. So the news had not come out really till last night. Our Diana Rossini did speak with Coach Payton, and this is clearly disciplinary. We'll have much more of the conversation on the broadcast tonight, but in essence, off the top of my head, I'm paraphrasing here. I think that Coach said that Mike better come in on Wednesday. He's going to be disciplined. I imagine there'll be some, sort of fine, conduct detrimental to the team, but he ought to come on with an apology to the whole team. So, I think there's that at work. But listen, Coach Payton's a bright guy. It's still a high ankle sprain. Even if he's better, he wasn't 100%. There's the bye week next week. I just laid out a couple of reasons why probably the Saints could win this game tonight, even without Thomas. So this seems like a good spot to do this in, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And seems to make a lot of sense for a lot of reasons. Sean Payton's thinking big picture down the road as well, even though I'm sure he wouldn't admit that. And so, for a bunch of reasons. But the disciplinary, you still can't throw a punch at a teammate. And that's what Thomas did in practice.
Steve, I know you didn't hear the open of the show today, but I did mention that, it's not new. I mean, we saw Michael Jordan punch Steve Kerr, and we saw Ike Anakpale punch Geno Smith and break his jaw. I mean, you're around alpha males all the time. When you hear something like that, is it actually surprising to you that something can escalate like that?
No, it's not. It's not surprising, and dare I say, Matt, that it probably for every 10 times it happens, you only hear about 2 of them, right? I mean, this is happening. This is going on everywhere, every team, every camp, every week. And you hear about a handful of them because somehow it leaks out some way. So I'm more surprised that it comes out and makes itself public than I am that it actually happens.
Steve, before you go, you got to give me an anecdote. I mean, I know you said You get to go to the Super Bowl every year. You've no doubt been to New Orleans for events dozens, if not hundreds of times in your life. Give me a New Orleans story, man. Something about coming down to the city.
Well, let's see. I have been to Commander's Palace. I know they told me to go enjoy that and check that out, and that could have been 3.5-hour dinner, brother. That's a long production, but I've enjoyed every moment of it. And the kind of guy that I am, I would rather walk down Bourbon Street and just pop into a place I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm a pop-in guy. Like, it's nice to know people. It's nice to be taken care of. You get a good table at the restaurant. But I would rather walk in there with a baseball cap on and go sit in a corner and listen to some live music and just sort of take in the whole scene. But I love everything New Orleans has to offer. It's a damn shame what's going on in the city now. But you know what? It's not just here, man. It's every major city in the country. We're all trying to get back to where we were. The new normal is awful. We all can't wait to get back to the old normal, and I can't wait to see New Orleans as a city get back on top. It's really one of my 3 favorite cities to visit in the country. It should be in a small Super Bowl rotation. Every third year, national championship for college football has been great here. I'm a massive fan in your city, and we were really hoping there would be fans in the Dome tonight. And I know there was a little political. I guess the mayor said no, the governor said yes, and they'll try it again in a few more weeks for the next home game. So, my best to the city, man.
Steve, we appreciate it, man. Part of our normal always on Monday nights has been Monday Night Football, and we're glad to have that game tonight, man. Have a great call, you and the crew. We appreciate a couple of minutes here today.
All right. Thanks for having me on. Enjoy the game, everybody. See you later.
Our pleasure. That is Steve Levy. He will be on the call tonight with Brian Greasy, Lewis Riddick, Lisa Salters, from the Dome, just a few blocks from where we are here at the Sazerac House in the corner of Magazine and Canal. We're pretty fired up for it. Monday shows are brought to you by Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. 288-8138 or ReliefWindows.com. Windows, doors, siding, Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Appreciate y'all for hanging out with us, man. It's so fun to be down here in the city, and certainly here at Sazerac House, which is just gorgeous. You've heard me rave about this place. I can't stress enough. The next time you're in the city, or if you're listening to us in New Orleans and you've never made your way down here to the Sazerac House, you've got to do it at least once. Give yourself several hours to go on one of the guided tours and experience the whole building. So much of the history and tradition of what has made this city culturally so great is brought to life here at the Sazerac House. And they've literally used, if I'm not mistaken, some of the same people that helped design the World War II Museum, helped design the Sazerac House, the museum parts here. So, it is so world-class, top-notch. Stay there. You've got to come check this place out here on the corner of Magazine and Canal. And while you're enjoying the game tonight, of course, pick yourself a bottle of Sazerac Rye, pour your favorite cocktail, enjoy it neat. I have a feeling I might be doing that after the show today. All right, it's After Further Review. Glad you're with us here. We'll go around the SEC when we come back. Glad to have you hanging out on a Monday edition of AFR from the Sazerac House in New Orleans.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Ichiban, Essen near Perkins, Airline Highway in Gonzales. Make tonight at Ichiban night, if you're going to be watching Monday Night Football, a great option. Let me, if I might recommend, call ahead to Ichiban, either location, the Essen location or the Airline Highway in Gonzales location. Place your order, swing in, pick it up, take it to the house, and enjoy Monday Night Football in the comfort of your own home while eating the best sushi in Baton Rouge. Remember, at the Essen Lane location, you can go to the website, ichibanbr.com, place your order, designate what time you want to pick it up, pay for it online, and so when you pull up, they'll bring it out to your vehicle. It's curbside takeaway. You never have to get out of your car. Or, of course, you can always go dine in. Essen near Perkins or Airline Highway in Gonzales. Big 70-inch flat screen behind the bar. All-weather patio dining with TVs. So you can enjoy an amazing dinner. The best sushi in Baton Rouge, voted by you in the Best of 225 awards. 2 locations, Essen near Perkins, Airline Highway in Gonzales. Make tonight an Ichiban night.
1.
Hey, Tiger fans. hours. If you
Meats, fish, veggies, beans, even soups and salads. Novice cooks can whip up a delicious, nutritious meal in no time. Just start with rice. Brought to you by the proud farmers of certified Louisiana rice.
What's holding you back from solving your tax problems? If it's cost, know that the longer you wait, the more expensive it'll be. Hi, this is Kerry Bryson with the Bryson Law Firm in Baton Rouge. Tax resolution doesn't have to be expensive, and waiting year after year to resolve your tax problems can be extremely costly. Interest and penalties on your tax bill won't stop until you take control. So take the first step now and hire a tax attorney.
45 seconds back.
Bryson Law Firm. We'll tell you in advance an affordable fee, which includes cost and expenses that works for your business or family. Your first visit to the Bryson Law Firm is free and confidential, so you have nothing to lose. But the longer you wait, the more interest and penalties you'll pay. Remember, if you have IRS issues, you have legal issues. You need an attorney. You need
Brain.
About 15 seconds back.
Hey, can you hear me?
.com.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to do the traditional around the SEC. I'm going to play that Mullen audio, and I'll just do the live for Gulf Coast.
You got it. Coming back.
Okay.
659.
After further review with Matt Moss.
Impacted or delayed by COVID-19. So the SEC made this announcement earlier today that Vanderbilt at Missouri for this Saturday, October the 17th, postponed due to positive tests and subsequent quarantine of individuals within the Vanderbilt program. That, of course, consistent with SEC's COVID-19 management requirements. So they tentatively rescheduled the game for December the 12th. Now, I know a lot of the chicken littles, as we call them, are going to run around screaming with their heads cut off. But let me remind you that so far through 3 weeks of SEC football, this is the first game in 3 weeks where every team, all 14 teams have played 7 games over 3 weeks, 21 games. And then this week will be 28 total games, but obviously now minus one will be 27 27 of 28 games uninterrupted. And the reason that you constructed the schedule the way you did was to build in buffers to reschedule either on your open date or on December the 12th, 1 week in advance of the SEC championship game. So this at this point should surprise no one. This is actually why you arranged the schedule the way you did, to allow for exactly this situation, to be able to make up a game. So I will salute the SEC for having the forethought to recognize something like this might happen. And as we've mentioned so many times, but it bears mentioning again, per CDC guidelines, if you test positive for COVID-19, you need not test again for 90 days, which means that all of those players who tested positive right now or who are quarantined, they will not have to test again for 90 days. So I would not anticipate another problem at Vanderbilt after this. It's why whenever Ed Orgeron mentioned about a month ago that most of his team had already had COVID-19 and a lot of people freaked out, by and large, that is the reality for much of not only college football, but really any population that is testing regularly. If you're shoving Q-tips up people's nose 3 to 5 times a week, you're going to uncover more positive tests of asymptomatic people, and you're just going to identify those people, and so they are removed from the testing list. So regardless of how you feel, good, bad, or indifferent, the bottom line is they understood this was a possibility. They put the protocols in place to fix it, and job well done here. Vandy and Mizzou will be rescheduled for the other story that transpired coming out of Saturday involves the University of Florida, who LSU, of course, plays this week. Florida, of course, went to College Station and lost to Texas A&M. That was something we talked about a lot throughout the week last week. Florida's defense against Ole Miss, against Missouri, really was susceptible to giving up yards and points. As good as Florida's offense had been in the eyes of many, that probably masked their defensive deficiencies. They were exposed Saturday by a good Texas A&M offense. Similarly, we talked about a lot last week, the fact that a lot of people dumped on Texas A&M for losing to Alabama the way they did, but what you lost sight of if you did not watch the game was that A&M put up 450 yards in that game. They moved up and down the field all day. Their offense was very, very competent. They gave up 3 massive plays to Alabama. Now, credit Alabama because they got 3 absolute game breakers that could beat you over the top and change the scoreboard on a 75, a 68, and 83-yard touchdown, and they did. And A&M couldn't stop it. Credit Bama. But it doesn't negate the fact that A&M was able to move the football against Bama, and they did on Saturday against Florida and won that football game. So A&M, if you watch that game, they were supposed to be at about 25% capacity. It certainly looked like it was more than 25% capacity at Kyle Field. Maybe it was just the way that they bunched people together. I have no in pockets right behind the Florida bench. I don't know. But it certainly looked like there were more than 24,000 people in that venue on Saturday. After the game, Dan Mullen, his team loses. He goes into the press conference. And remember, at the end of last week, the governor of the state of Florida, Ron DeSantis, lifted all COVID restrictions, meaning if they wanted to have a full capacity stadium, they could. The Miami Dolphins elected not to go capacity. They stuck with 13,000. But Dan Mullen, knowing that on Saturday in the postgame, said this.
It was a great day of football, great atmosphere out there. Crowd was certainly a factor in the game. I will certainly say that. I know our governor passed that rule, so certainly, hopefully, the university administration decides to let us pack the swamp for LSU next week. 100%, because that crowd was a major factor in the game. And so I certainly hope our university administration follows the governor. Our governor has passed a rule that we're allowed to pack the swamp. We have 90,000 in the swamp to give us that home field advantage that Texas A&M had today.
Back to you.
That is... Y'all know where I stand on all this. So this isn't going to surprise you, but I'm going to commend Dan Mullen because somebody has to be first. Just like somebody had to be the first to pull the plug, and that was the NBA and Adam Silver, someone has to be first in returning to our normal, our pre-COVID normal. I'm not going to say that you go and you're negligent, okay? I'm not saying be negligent. But what I'm saying is the governor of Florida has said he's lifted all restrictions. If you want to go pack your restaurant, if you want to pack a stadium, you can do that now at capacity. That doesn't mean you don't keep certain restrictions in place, and maybe it's COVID protocols. Maybe it's wear a mask. Maybe it's more sanitation stations. Maybe all those CDC checkpoints going in. There's a lot of different things you can do, or maybe you don't go to capacity, but maybe you get closer to capacity than anyone's been so far. Someone has to be first. And listen, from an LSU perspective, it would really suck if you're the visitor in the first game where there's a capacity or near capacity, in this new COVID world. But that may be the case this weekend. And I will at least commend Dan Mullen for having the guts to step forward and be the first to say, the governor said we could do it. I hope our university president, our athletic director, open it up and let us pack the swamp 100%. Now, I don't want to see the swamp packed on. As an LSU fan, I don't want to see the swamp packed 100% this week. I don't want to see Miles Brennan trying to go on the road for the first time in a packed stadium and trying to combat not only the Florida team, that defense, Todd Grantham's attacking style, but also the crowd. But from a society progress standpoint, of course I want to see that. I want to see somebody do it, be the first, show that you can do it, which would then encourage others to do the exact same thing. Listen, you might say, and I know there's those of you out there who are going to say it because I hear from you all the time, I'm not going to sit here and say that that everyone is going to do it or should do it, but someone has to take the first step toward doing it. If you are in a state where your leaders are saying it's okay to proceed, then damn it, proceed. It's the same thing that's going to happen in the big building down the street from where we are right now. When the governor of the state has opened up at a 25% capacity, and you've seen other venues do it, and the Saints appeal to the mayor and say 25%, let's do it, and she says no, well, like, that's impeding progress, and I'm not good with that. If the people who are charged with and trusted with enacting laws and keeping your society safe and doing all those things, if they're the people who are married to the information they're getting every single day, and they say it's okay to proceed, then proceed. Proceed. You don't have to be reckless, but take those steps to proceed. And I hope the University of Florida does it. I'll say it again. I don't want to see a full swamp for LSU going on the road. But I'm okay with progress. Someone's got to be first. And if it's Florida this week, then it's Florida this week. All right, it's after further review. We're glad you're with us. Around the SEC is brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products. Shout out to our guy Trey Beal and our friends at Gulf Coast Office Products. They're online at gcopnet.com. gcopnet.com for Gulf Coast Office Products. New Orleans, Lafayette, Baton Rouge, North Shore, all over the southern part of our state. If you're a business owner, if you have an office and you need office equipment and you need to run more efficiently, Gulf Coast Office Products can make that happen. gcopnet.com, gcopnet.com for Gulf Coast Office Products. Oh, y'all, it's after further review. Glad you're with us here from the Sazerac House, New Orleans, on the corner of Canal and Magazine. It's so gorgeous when the sun goes down as well. You see this building all lit up. It is a showpiece you can't miss. Make sure you check us out here at the Sazerac House on the corner of Magazine and Canal. We appreciate you for being here with us. We will knock out our final break here of hour number one. Quick reminder, Scott Shanley, former Saint linebacker, he is with us in 15 minutes from right now. We'll preview tonight's Saints-Chargers game. When we come back, the new top 25 is out. LSU out of the top 25 for the first time since 2017. What does it mean, and what should we make of it? We'll talk about it next as we continue here on a Monday edition of AFR presented by Relief Windows. Stick around.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Premier South Roofing and PremierSouthLA.com. Baton Rouge, Lafayette, North Shore, and online at PremierSouthLA.com. Of course, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, North Shore, Lake Charles, points in between as well. So if you suffered storm effects from Hurricane Laura, Premier South Roofing is here to help. If you were in the path this last weekend of Hurricane Delta, Premier South Roofing is here to help. When you're ready and when the recovery process begins, trust a company that was here before the storm. Trust a company that has literally won ethics awards from the Better Business Bureau, the Torch Award for Ethics in Business. Post-storm, when you need someone you can rely on, Premier South Roofing is that company. PremierSouthLA.com. PremierSouthLA.com. Baton Rouge, Lafayette, North Shore, and Lake Charles, and of course online at PremierSouthLA.com. One more time, PremierSouthLA.com for Premier South Roofing.
1.
Over at All Star Toyota, you get it all.
Hey, Matt, you there? Matt, are you there?
Capital Partners, a lobbying and government relations firm focused on the people of Louisiana. Whether you need to drive legislative or regulatory approval, want to enhance your image, or are looking to improve political campaign fundraising, Capital Partners has the resources to deliver beyond your expectations. Contact Jesse McCormick and Daryl Cahoon today. Search online at capitalpartnersfirm.com. Capital Partners, the face and voice of Louisianans at the state capitol. capitalpartnersfirm.com.
At BMW, we didn't make just one SAV, we made the ultimate range of SAVs. And because each of the 7 X-Range sports activity vehicles flawlessly balance dynamic power, spacious size, and sleek design, you can choose from a fleet that fits perfectly into your life. Like the versatile X1, which has adaptable suspension that makes it easy to conquer any road. Or the X3, which has an unbelievably spacious interior while also delivering agile handling and performance. Then there's the X7, which is the culmination of comfort and luxury in the biggest BMW ever created. We're confident that no matter who you are, no matter where you're going, no matter what's next, there's an X to take you there.
Now through November 2nd, lease a 2020 BMW X3 S-Drive 30i for $449 a month for 36 months with $39.99 due at signing.
1 minute back. 1 minute back. Taco scene very soon at 5621 Government Street. Follow on Instagram at GOVTTACO and the Government Taco Facebook page for more. You can also go to governmenttaco.com and sign up for the email list so you can be the first to know when we're opening again at 5621 Government Street. Clucks and Balances and the Magna Carrot and more will be back. Best of 225 award winner 2 times. I'm Jay Ducote, and I approve this message.
Almost 150 years of litigation.
30 seconds back.
MurphyLawFirm.com. The real deal. Make the right decision and learn about your lawyer before you hire one. The decision is easy. Don't be a victim twice. MurphyLawFirm.com. Offices in Baton Rouge.
Hey, it's Dory Noka. Join me and Mel
10 seconds back.
Mornings at 8 on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Carter Plantation, a David Tom signature golf course. Book your tee time today at carterplantation.com.
You got it.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
We had a long meeting yesterday about communication, about missed singles, about all kinds of stuff. And I'll just put it on the coaches. That's all that is. I'm not going to put it on the players. We got to execute better. But we got to practice better. We got to simplify. I told both Steve and Bo to simplify. Make sure that our players can do it. I don't care if we have to play one defense or one coverage. Play it right. Do whatever we need to do. Put our athletes in a good position and let them make plays.
At Orgeron, today, Monday, it is a weekly press gathering talking about simplifying on both sides of the ball, and maybe that's what they need to do. We started the show today talking about how athletically LSU is as good as is better than anybody they've played, and is as good as anybody left on the schedule, save maybe one Crimson team on the schedule that looks pretty salty right now. But they've just got to play better. Let me rephrase that. They've got to coach better and make sure that their really elite athletes are in the right position to make plays. You can't tell me that a third-string receiver from Missouri is 30 yards better than Elias Ricks, a 5-star number 1 cornerback in the country. It's that Elias Ricks was peeking in the backfield. He thought he had safety help. He didn't. The kid's running free for a touchdown. That's coaching. Be it mental mistakes from your players or whatever, it all filters back to the coaching because it's on you to make sure that kid knows his assignment and is in the right place. That's what they've got to correct this week. Now, LSU is out of the coaches poll for the first time since 2017. Defending champs, first time they've dropped, a defending champ has dropped out of the rankings in 9 years. The last time it happened was Auburn. Auburn, which won the 2010 national championship with Cam Newton and Nick Fairley. They basically had a cheat code on both sides of the ball. And then those two guys were gone, and then Auburn just wasn't the same, and 2 years later they had fired their coach. I'm not suggesting that this is an apples-to-apples comparison because that Auburn team, and I know I've heard Cole Kublik talk about this so many times, that Auburn team did not have another player on its offense play in the NFL. I think maybe Lee Zimba, might have been the only other one that got a tryout in the NFL. But no one else played an NFL game. This LSU team, you're going to have 7 guys off of this team. Like in this spring's draft, you're going to have at least 7 more players drafted this spring. You've got to, how many other teams in America are going to have 7 players drafted this spring? You're better than you're showing right now, and they got to play better than they're showing right now. The ranking is what it is. It's a shot to the pride, but it's really immaterial. There was a question in the Bayou Ford YouTube chat I wanted to address. It was from Mark. It was Mark Aguilar who said, Matt, no one's talking about what this is doing to our recruiting. Do we stand to miss on the guys we thought we'd pull in? That's a great question. And as hard as this is for a fan or a casual observer to acknowledge, you have, and I learned this a long time ago from talking to recruiters, and recruiting analysts, and they all say the same thing. You have got to look at it through the lens of a recruit. And the recruit, in so many instances, is not looking at what you and I are looking at. They may be looking at, can I play? Think of it this way. If you are Corey Foreman, the number 1 player in the country, you're looking at LSU right now defensively. You're thinking to yourself, I can go play right now. Like, I could walk off my high school field right now and go play at LSU. And I know they got dogs. Look, they're scoring 41 and losing. They need me. They need to be better defensively, and I can help. Like, that's the recruits just have different mindsets. The other thing is so much of the heavy lifting in recruiting is done the year in advance. The example I'll give you is the 2007 national champs. LSU wins the national championship in 2007. 2008 was Les's worst year. They were 7-5. They won the bowl game. But the 2008 recruiting class was the residual of the 2007 championship. And so that class, the class of 2009 after the 2008 season, was the number 1 recruiting class in the country with Russell Shepard and Reuben Randall and all those guys. So when you win a championship, the residual comes not 2 months later, but 14 months later in the following February. So as hard as it is to believe, I don't think what's happening now is going to negatively impact the recruiting class. I've just seen this so many times throughout LSU's history and just recruiting history in general.
10.
All right, it is After Further Review. We are here at the Sazerac House in New Orleans. And glad to have you hanging out with us here. Former Saint linebacker Scott Shanley joins us right after Sportscenter.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by GMFS Mortgage and GMFSmortgage.com. Changing lives since 1999. One of the awesome things, GMFS is awesome for a lot of reasons. They change people's lives. They help people financially build that home of their dreams, renovate their home, empty nesters downsize, growing families upsize, building the home of your dreams, saving money by refinancing your mortgage. There's so many ways that GMFS Mortgage changes lives, but they also do it by being a great community partner. For every loan they close, GMFS Mortgage makes a donation to Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center. Last month, in the month of September, GMFS made 714 different donations in the name of its borrowers to Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center. So not only are they changing lives for people financially, but in a very literal sense with all of the donations they're making to Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center. GMFS Mortgage. GMFS Mortgage, changing lives.
T-Bob Abear here with breaking news. If you're looking to upgrade your boat tech this fall, look no further than Front to Back Boat Service. With not 1, but 2 NMEA certified techs, who better to install a brand new HD display? How about Panoptic sonar? You want to see the fish under the water before you cast? They have that. Any kind of trolling motor that your trolling heart could dream of. You could troll it with your iPhone. You could stay still automatically, move anywhere you want. I've used them. They're incredible. Remember, Front to Back Boat Service is locally owned and operated. The Sherman family's been at it for over 2 decades, y'all. So whether it's just general maintenance or any marine electronics you can dream of, including custom jobs, you want Front to Back Boat Service. Look them up on Facebook at Front to Back Boat Service or call 225-928-9644. That's 225-928-9644. And stop putting it off. The time to make your boating dreams come true is now with Front to Back Boat Service.
$10,000 off MSRP on a new 2020 Ford F-150. Bayou Ford can get you on a brand new Ford F-150 today with $10,000 off MSRP. Buy a new one for less than a used one.
All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million-mile powertrain warranty. And with Bayou to You, free delivery right to your door.
Bayou Ford in LaPlace between New Orleans and Baton Rouge.
The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you. XLT trim, $52.50 dealer discount, $47.54 rebate. Expires 11/2/20.
Hey, it's Jordy and T-Bob here for City Cafe, and City Cafe is back. Open and operating. Brunch on Sundays starting at 10 o'clock. They're open Monday through Saturday at 11 o'clock. Been around for 100 years, right there on the corner of O'Neill and George O'Neill. Menus available online at citycafebr.net. Remember, go see Dirk and Cody and the gang. They'll take care of you, man. Make sure and tell them you heard it here on Off the Bench. Brunch on Sundays, 10 o'clock. Order up the world-famous hole-in-the-glass champagne and ask them about the best chicken and waffles in town. City Cafe, where good friends meet.
And where good friends eat, and have been doing so for over 100 years. Why? Because the food's delicious, okay? Trust the big guy. Personally, I love the oysters. I love the pepper jelly shrimp. I love the breaded cutlet special. I love popping in for lunch and getting a half and half a po' boy and a bowl of soup. So whether you're looking to eat alone, whether you're looking to entertain, whether you're looking to go out with friends, the answer for lunch, dinner, brunch, it's always City Cafe.
Hey, this is Jordy Collada for St. Vincent de Paul. Make a donation that truly helps people in need. If you have a boat, car, motorcycle, or RV you no longer use, please consider donating it to St. Vincent de Paul. This donation could get you a tax deduction. Go to svdpbr.org to learn more.
Many people are injured and can't afford to get the treatment they need because insurance companies won't pay until a case is closed. I'm attorney Spencer Callahan. I'd like to help.
Spencer Callahan is the one to see. Call 387-2323.
Offices in Baton Rouge.
104.5 WNXX Jackson, 104.9 KNXX Donaldsonville, and WDGL HD2 Baton Rouge. This hour is brought to you by Spencer Callahan Injury Lawyers.
This is Sportscenter.
I'm Doug Brown. Game 2 for the Rays and Astros today in the ALCS. After Tampa Bay took Game 1, they lead this one 3-0 in the third on a 3-run home run from Manuel Margot. Coverage underway on other ESPN radio outlets. At 7:30 Eastern, we'll have Game 1 for the Dodgers and Braves in the NLCS. Another name on the list of Baseball Hall of Famers who've died in just the last few months, Joe Morgan, who had his greatest years with the Big Red Machine in Cincinnati, died today in California. He was 77. The White Sox are parting ways with manager Rick Renteria after 4 years. The team is coming off its first postseason appearance since 2008. The Lakers have their 17th NBA title, and ESPN's John Ireland says the way their two best players get along, there could be more.
AD and LeBron don't have an ego in regards to the other one. They just don't. You can see the dynamic between the two of them.
John Ireland.
Scott is ready to roll.
Cool, thanks.
To the hospital today after season-ending surgery on his right ankle.
Coming up Tuesday, my real NFL
YouTube.
rankings. How far will the...
Well, hey, YouTube.
They're like, hey, we can
Yours truly here.
They're like, we can hear Brian counting down. I'm like, I know you can hear Brian counting down. Like, I don't care that you can hear Brian counting down.
ESPN News.
If I'm tuning it out, you can tune it out.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt.
All good. I'm a father of 3. I'm used to being tuned out.
ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios.
That's right.
Hour 2 off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, presented by Relief Windows. We're here from the Sazerac House in New Orleans, and glad to have you hanging out. We're on the corner of Magazine and Canal. We'll have a VIP listener watch party tonight. Of course, our friends over at Sazerac ran a very cool promotion for the VIP listener tailgate. That culminates tonight. Our VIPs will watch the game with us here at the Sazerac House in their 4th floor ballroom. They got like a 23-foot screen that comes out of the ceiling. It's gorgeous. The whole room is so cool. I mean, this place is spectacular. I mean, they've blended old and new. All of the columns and the floors are original and restored. There's a staircase in this building which is 150 years old. They had to remove the staircase, renovate it, like bring it up to code, put it back in, and then it's like walled off. You can't use it because it's not like up to the fire marshal standards or whatever, but it's still it's immaculate. You've just got to see this place to really believe it. It's amazing. So anyway, Sazerac House here on the corner of Magazine and Canal, and we're getting you ready for Monday Night Football, Saints and Chargers. Of course, following us at 5:30 is Saints Game Day on CST. You'll hear Scott Shanley, or see Scott Shanley on Saints Game Day, and the former Saints linebacker is good enough to join us here for a couple of minutes. As always, Scott, we appreciate a few minutes. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on.
My pleasure, man. As a former player, even if there's no crowd, what's it like playing on Monday Night Football?
So Monday Night Football, the first thing guys do when the schedule comes out is you look to see how many Monday Night Football games we're going to play on, then you work your way backwards. Sunday Night Football, then Sunday afternoon, then Sunday noon games. That's kind of the progression players take. So when you play on Monday Night Football, it's special. You know the entire country will be watching you.
Got to ask an obvious one about the fisticuffs with Michael Thomas and Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Scott, my take on it is, man, you got a bunch of alpha males. It's intense. It's heated. This probably happens more than we see make public. When you hear a story like that, as a former player, what's your thought?
Well, I don't think it's dissension. I know what this locker room is made up of. I know what Coach Payton expects in that makeup. What I think happened is you have a player who is extremely competitive, who's frustrated he hasn't been able to be on the field, and there's jawing that goes on every single day in practice. And my understanding of it was, these fights that occur during practice and the heat of the battle, it's whatever. But when you extend those fights, you extend these bickerings outside of the framework of football, like my understanding was that this happened, he was told to cool it, didn't listen, and kept it going. So when you're not following the rules of the team and trying to keep the chemistry there, like I said, fights happen in the midst of competition and battling, but you can't take that thing and make it personal and extend it outside the framework of the white line.
How easy is it, Scott, just to follow up, how easy is it as a player to get past that? Like, how is it as a player, individual, as a team, do you get past that and move on and everything be copacetic?
Well, for me and everybody I ever played with, I never saw a fight go from the field to off the field to the weight room to the locker room or any area like that, because we all understand, like you said, there's a lot of alpha males, but it's a highly competitive business, and everybody's trying to earn their job every single day. And so when you have two guys competing their butts off every play, you're going to end up with some skirmishes. But at the end of the day, we all realize you can't make those skirmishes on the field personal, and it sounded like this thing got a little too personal.
Scott Shanley is our guest. Make sure you catch Scott. By the way, CST switches from us to Saints Game Day at 5:30, so 90 minutes from right now. You have Scott, Mike Neighbors, Victor Howell. They'll be counting you down on CST to Monday Night Football. So if you're watching us on CST, just keep it tuned. They'll take you right through up until kickoff. So no Mike Thomas in this ball game. Scott, how does that affect this game offensively against the Chargers?
Well, obviously not having Michael on the field always affects any Saints game, but I think there's hope that it won't be as a big a deal because of the way the offense started to play last week against Detroit. You really saw the ball start to get spread around. You saw the offense with some urgency early in the game when they went down 14-0. And I think that timing, Emmanuel Sanders and Drew are starting to click, and Alvin Kamara obviously is in the running for MVP consideration. If he continues to do what he's doing, you always want a guy like Michael on the field. But from what I saw from this offense last week, I think this team can continue to move on and play well without Michael. It's almost for the best. Hey, now with the bye week, you get a couple more weeks of rest because those high ankle sprains can be nagging, and we're going to need Michael to do what we need to do come January.
So on the other side of the ball then, defensively, it's a rookie quarterback. They're down their best running back. They're down three starting offensive linemen, if you include Pouncey, from the beginning of the season. What is the challenge tonight for the Saints defense against an undermanned Chargers offense?
It's just that you don't take anything for granted in the NFL. If there's one thing we found out is it doesn't matter who's playing, you still have to play at the top of your game. I mean, it was a couple weeks ago, we went to Las Vegas and everybody said their offensive line was decimated, and I don't think we had a sack that night or we didn't have any pressure. So you can't take who is and who isn't playing for granted because they're going to come in with a game plan to protect their rookie quarterback, get rid of the ball quick, much like the Raiders did. And I think they're going to try to run the ball. Even though they're missing out of their starting running back, I feel like they're going to have to try to run the ball, shorten this game, get into third and manageable. Because if they get into third and long with a rookie quarterback against this defense, it's going to be a long night for them.
Neither proposition is good, Scott, but we saw Darren Waller and the success he had. Now you got another great pass-catching tight end in Hunter Henry, but then you've also got Keenan Allen. Which for the Saints, especially we know they're going to be without Janoris Jenkins and Marshawn Lattimore, we're still waiting to get final word there, but which is the more important weapon offensively for the Chargers, for the Saints to take away? Is it the tight end or is it Keenan Allen?
You know, that's a tough, because when you first started to pose that question, I thought, well, of course you want to take Keenan Allen away. You always want to take away the explosive wide receiver playmakers. But then my thought suddenly went to the Raiders game and Darren Waller and how he controlled that game by moving the chains. So I think it's one of two things. I think you have to almost roll a safety over or double team Keenan Allen, and you take him out of the game. And you can almost double team a tight end too, because when you're dealing with a backup running back and a rookie quarterback, it's almost like, hey, let's take away the two threats that can move the chains and get them into down and distances that are hard to defend. So if that were me, I would probably have a linebacker and a safety on the tight end and a cornerback and a safety on the wide receiver and make somebody else beat you.
A couple more minutes here with Scott Shanley. Again, CST on Saints game day. It'll be coming up in 80 minutes from right now, 5:30 Central Time. They'll break away from us here on AFR and go right into Saints game day. Scott, when you look at I'm going to ask you this question. I'm sure you'll, especially the way you started when the schedule comes out and you look for Monday Night Football and all the primetime games. When you look at this in total for the season, this game is a chance for the Saints to get above 500 going into their bye, coming out of the bye with a couple of winnable games before you go to Tampa. Do you really focus in that locker room? Are they really focused on the importance of this particular game tonight and what it means big picture for their season?
Oh, absolutely. Players, when coaches always tell you they don't, but you have an idea of how you break the season up. And I know Coach Payton has done this since he's been here. He takes a 16-game schedule and he breaks it into 4 quarters. They just got done with their first quarter. Got in with their first 4 games, they were 2-2. The goal is to be 3-1 in each one of those quarters. They weren't able to do that. So you look at last week's game, that was a must-win. You can't start the season off 1-3. They're back to 500. This is a huge game. Get to 3-2, go to the break, and now you have 2 more manageable games, Carolina and Chicago, before you play a tough Tampa Bay team on the road. So, like I said, Coach Payton's goal every quarter is to go 3-1. They weren't able to do that. If they can go 4-0 this quarter, now they're setting themselves up for the discussion of being in position in the NFC South again.
Saints getting healthier than they were a week ago for this ball game tonight, Monday Night Football against the Chargers. Scott, before you go, give me one key, something we haven't talked about that maybe we aren't talking about that is going to be a factor tonight.
Well, I'm just looking for the Saints pass rush to come alive. I think Cam, you saw last week, he got a sack. They need to do a better job winning one-on-one battles up front. If we can, as a defense, if we can start rushing 4 guys again and playing 7 men in coverage, whether it's man or zone, that's when this defense is hard to beat. And really, when you saw last year this defense come along and be mentioned as one of the best in the NFL, they were rushing 4, and guys were winning one-on-one battles. Outside of that, keep up with this no 100-yard rusher streak, which is a phenomenal feat, by the way. They're 3rd, I think, now, and a few games away from setting that record. If they can continue doing that, I think things will be okay for this defense.
Former Saints linebacker, world champion Scott Shanley. Saints game day on CST today, 5:30, a little more than an hour from right now. Catch Scott, Mike Neighbors, Victor Howell, all our buddies over there on CST following us here on AFR. We always appreciate a couple of minutes, Scott. Thank you.
Absolutely, anytime.
Okay, man, we'll see you. It is After Further Review from the Sazerac House in New Orleans on the corner of Magazine and Canal. Beautiful day in the city. Drove in. I got to give a gigantic thank you to our friends Joseph and the gang over at Nopsey Hotel on Barone in the CBD. Beautiful boutique hotel. It is contemporary design, stylish, so many amenities, a bar in the lobby, 2 restaurant bars in the lobby. They've got a rooftop pool and restaurant as well. They've been so kind to host us and our staff, and we're so grateful to Nopsey. If you're coming down to the city and you're looking for a place to stay, check out the Nopsey Hotel on Barone, Nopsi, Nopsey. Check out the Nopsey Hotel on Barone. Be sure to tell them you heard us talking about them here on AFR. Just so grateful for them for hosting us and our crew coming down today here for for our watch party here at the Sazerac House. We are at the Sazerac House. This is After Further Review presented by Relief Windows. We will knock out a quick break when we come back. Ed Orgeron met with the media today after having watched the film and gone through the weekend. How do they get it right? That's what we will discuss next on AFR.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Carriages in Bocage and carriagesbr.com. Great day this past Friday at Carriages in Bocage with the Samuelson Trunk Show. Special event pricing, one day only. You missed that. But no worries if you did. You can still get by Carriages and take advantage of their amazing selection. If it's suits or sport coats or dress shirts or neckties or belts or shoes, accessories, cufflinks, watches, money clips, they've got you at Carriages in Bocage. Check them out at carriagesbr.com. Carriagesbr.com. You can check out their new arrivals, the brands that they carry, the names and brands you know and love, and all of their apparel, including their game day line. Go to carriagesbr.com, hit the game day tab, and you'll see all the officially licensed LSU gear, including the newest offerings from Johnny O'Brien, Peter Millar. It's all there at carriagesbr.com. Carriagesbr.com for Carriages in Bocage. Tell them Matt sent you in when you go see our friends at Carriages in Bocage.
For summer DIY projects, you know the Home Depot's always in your corner. Now with our mobile app, it can also be in the palm of your hand. With digital tools like image search, snap a picture of something. It'll recognize it and serve up product suggestions in seconds. And our product locator will check availability and lead you right to it.
Sighting. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
We're definitely going to simplify. There's no question about that. And I'm going to make sure that any defense is called. Bo's going to call the defense, but I'm going to make sure anyone that's called that we run it right all week, and our guys understand it. If we don't understand it, we're not running it.
Ed Orgeron earlier today on Monday discussing how they try to get it right after an historically bad performance to open the season against Mississippi State. A Mississippi State team, might we mention, that has looked awfully inept the past couple of weeks. The quarterback who, after 1 week, some had thrust into the Heisman conversation, was benched this past weekend. KJ Costello from Stanford was benched this past weekend at Kentucky by Mike Leach in Mississippi State. So the idea that he was actually a Heisman candidate, or that this quarterback had somehow made leaps and bounds from when he lost his job at Stanford, it's nonsensical. I mean, there's enough of a sample size to know what the issue is, and it's not that KJ Costello is a world beater or that LSU was just unprepared for a Mike Leach offense, which you have 20 years of film to dissect. It's that the approach that LSU's coaches took did not work, and they failed to communicate that to their players and adjust in game. And that's super unfortunate because it's cost LSU 2 wins that they should have and should be 3-0 with defensive issues, but they still should be 3-0. Now, Scott Rabelais asked this question, and I could, if you're watching, I'll even show it to you that I had it. Scott asked the question almost verbatim the way I was going to ask the question. And I have it written down when Ed Orgeron said after the second scrimmage, this defense is better now than at any point a year ago. My point was not to as an attack. It was more, what did you see then? And this is exactly how Scott asked it. I mean, it's how I wrote it down. What did you see then that gave you that much confidence? And what hasn't translated from the second scrimmage now onto the field? This is what Ed Orgeron said today.
I saw a defense with a lot of pressure. I saw a defense running around, making plays, eliminating explosive plays. That's why I said it. So I know some of you have tried to burn me on that. I get that. It ain't no big deal. But that's what I saw, and I told the truth. I didn't think we played great defense last year. And I brought Bo in. I thought that I still think we can have an outstanding defense. I know there's not a lot of great defense being played in the SEC right now. That's no excuse. I don't want to hear that. I want to play great defense at LSU, and we're going to play great defense one way or another. So the things that I saw, like I always did, I told you all the truth. And I thought we were pressuring the quarterback more. I thought we were flying around. I thought we were fitting the run. And so that's what I saw in practice. That's what I told you.
Pressuring the quarterback, eliminating explosive plays. Two things we have not seen at all through 3 games, which is so stunning, which begs a follow-up that if that's what you were seeing, pressuring the quarterback, limiting explosive plays, and we always have this conversation. I'm going to get, by the way, to the other part of his answer in a second about y'all trying to burn me on it. I'm going to get to that in a second. Hang on. But the thing we ask every single year with every single team when you have a scrimmage, a good-on-good scrimmage, and an inter-squad scrimmage, when you have success, is it because this unit's really good or is the other unit really bad? And you never really know until you go out on the field. Here's the perplexing thing, okay? Can we agree at this point through 3 games that offensively, LSU's pretty good? Can we agree that LSU offensively, Miles Brennan's coming into his own. We saw John Emery last week run for over 100 yards. Don't know where John Emery was on Saturday. We've now seen a multitude of receivers prove they can be a viable number 2 on any given day behind Terrace Marshall, who looks every bit the part of a first-round draft pick. Can we agree that this LSU offense, pretty good? So the fact that your defense was limiting explosive plays by this LSU offense should have given Ed Orgeron a degree of confidence that this defense was going to be good. Now, to his point about saying some of you have tried to burn me on that, a couple things. First, when coaches and players tell you they don't listen to the radio, they don't read the papers, they don't pay attention, yes, they do. All of them do. They all lying. That's one. Or they have someone else who's telling them what's being said. That's Ed's fault. That is Ed Orgeron's fault. I respect tremendously that Ed Orgeron is candid. Not only do I respect it as a media guy, I love it because it gives you interesting things to talk about. I'm the guy who's always said, I wish coaches and players would treat press conferences more like we see boxers and MMA fighters and pro wrestlers treat press conferences, where you do have trash talking and you do have predictions and you have excitement and you got personality. I want that. I want more of that. So I respect tremendously that Ed Orgeron today in a press conference said, Miles Brennan's not practicing today because he got hit hard at the end of the game and we're giving him the day off. I respect tremendously that Ed Orgeron said Derek Stingley sprained his ankle tripping on the first down chain, and he was affected throughout the rest of that game. I respect tremendously the candor that at the beginning of the season, Ed Orgeron says, we're not going to have Glenn Logan for 2 weeks. He'll be back week 3. I respect it because a lot of coaches don't want to give away anything, but the reality is what you say in those instances it's not a tell. You're not giving anybody any type of advantage over you with any of that stuff. So I do respect it. The reality is, Ed, nobody's burning you on that comment. Like, you put your hand on the stove. You're the one who made the comp to last year. It would have been just as easy to say, man, I really like this defense. I think we're getting great pressure and we are limiting explosive plays. I think Bo Pelini is doing a great job transitioning our defense to a 4-3, and we're excited about it. That's one way to be very candid and say what you're trying to say about your defense and compliment your coach. It's another where you take a very obvious swipe at your former defensive coordinator who is now gone. When you say this defense right now is so much better than at any point a year ago, that's bogus. And everybody can see straight through you in that moment as someone who is very candid. When you take a veiled shot at Dave Aranda, we know what you're doing. Like, nobody's burning. That's the one part of his answer that I can't get down with. Where he said, I know some of you all try to burn me on it. We're not trying to burn you on it, man. You're the one who volunteered that hot take, the hottest of hot takes in a hot take world, after your second scrimmage, saying that defense was better than a defense that had Patrick Queen and Caleb on Chasson and Rashard Lawrence and Braden Fajoko and Michael Divinity and Grant Delpit and Christian Fulton and Derek Stingley is an All-American. You're telling me this defense right now is better than the defense that had all them guys? That's on you, man. Candor is good. I respect candor. I like candor. But you can't come back and turn it around when something you say, a hot take that you spit, bites you in the butt, and then it's everyone else's fault for pointing it out. No. You got to know that line. That's on you, man. Now, the other side of this. Something else he said there, and I followed up on this. Ed Orgeron said there's not a lot of defense being played in the SEC right now, but that's not an excuse. And he's right on both accounts. It's not an excuse, but there's also not a lot of defense being played in the SEC. So I asked him that question. Why isn't there a lot of defense being played in the SEC right now?
I haven't studied anybody well enough, Matt, to tell you that, to be honest. I don't get to watch a lot of games, but I see the scores. I did watch some of the Alabama-Ole Miss game when I got home, and I saw, both defenses struggling on both sides, and that let me know that offenses are changing, man. It's basketball on grass. I think it has a lot to do with the offensive schemes, but that doesn't mean we still can't play great defense. Now, guys are going to score points, but I think that when you play a good defense, you make it hard for them to go down the field. All these explosive plays have to stop, and that's either mismatches by the calls or missed assignments.
Explosive offenses make it harder to stop, but that's no excuse. You've got to find a way to limit big plays. Amen to that. He's absolutely right. And here's the point. The counter argument is you could do what LSU did for years, which is shorten the game, run the ball, play great defense, try to win a 13-10 ball game, but that's not reality. You have to be able to open up your offense the way that LSU is doing it, which looks awesome, but you've got to be good enough on defense and let the defense come into its own. Let me remind you last year that in week 2, this LSU football team gave up 500 yards and 40 points on the road at Texas, but they won. They made enough plays when they had to win the ball game, and as the season went along, that defense got better, and at the end of the year, they were dominant. There's no reason with the amount of talent this team has that they can't be good enough. good enough with their offense scoring 40 a game to win every game left on their schedule. Maybe not Bama, but I just watched A&M put up 40 points on Florida. I watched Ole Miss move up and down to 600 yards on Florida. LSU's going to go to the Swamp, and they're going to move the ball, and they're going to score. Can you be good enough on defense to get enough stops to win the game? That's what the ambition has to be now as you continue to get better. It's After Further Review, Monday Night Football in the Superdome. We're here in New Orleans at the Sazerac House, and so glad to have you aboard with us. When we come back, Gilbert Manzano will join us. He's the Chargers beat writer for the LA Times. We'll preview Saints Chargers from the other sideline. Next, it is AFR. We are right here at the Sazerac House in New Orleans.
AFR.
Let me take 60 seconds and remind you about our friends over at Clegg's Nursery. Buy local, shop local at Clegg's Nursery. I was chatting earlier today with Miss Teresa over at Clegg's. The Baton Rouge Green Tree Spree has been rescheduled for this Saturday, the 17th, at the Segan Lane store over at Clegg's. So if you want to plant your fall trees, fall is the perfect time to plant trees. So this is the time if you want to take advantage of the Baton Rouge Green Tree Spree at the Segan Lane Clegg's location. It's all day this coming Saturday. Also, still plenty of Mobucks, rice bran, deer corn. If you are a deer hunter, the Buckbusters, that's winding down, but Mobucks, rice bran, deer corn, it's all still there at Clegg's Nursery. The greenhouses are full. All of the fall decor is there. You want to beautify the exterior of your home, just plant something. This is the time at Clegg's Nursery. 4 locations in the greater Baton Rouge area. Buy local, shop local, and tell them Matt sent you in when you go see our friends today at Clegg's Nursery.
Meet our team of attorneys at Murphy Law Firm before you hire an attorney.
Coming your way, Matt, and it's Manzano.
By Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Monday Night Football, Saints Chargers from the Dome. Hop, skip, and a jump from where we are here on the corner of Magazine and Canal at the Sazerac House. Gorgeous location, and glad to have you hanging out with us here. And glad to have Gilbert Manzano join us. He is the Chargers beat writer for the OC Register, LA Daily News, the SoCal News Group. Check him out on Twitter at GManzano24. Gilbert, thanks for a couple of minutes, man. How are you?
I'm doing well. Getting ready for this Monday night game. Sometimes these Monday night games are a little nerve-wracking for beat writers like myself, but I'm ready for it.
Is it because of the late deadline?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Well, we won't take up too much of your time, but we do appreciate some perspective on a really interesting team in the NFL that's had a lot of injuries, but also has a lot of promise with a young quarterback. So, so far through the first quarter of the season, what's the early verdict on Justin Herbert?
I think he's probably surpassed expectations. Maybe even surprised some people in the Chargers organization, from coaches to the GM. I'm sure they knew they had a good one when they drafted him at number 6 overall. Probably their most important pick is taking, Eli Manning and then trading him for Phillip Rivers. So a long time ago. So it was kind of a big, important pick to get it right. But they always kind of expected Justin Herbert was going to watch and learn this season. They probably figured he was a raw guy with all the tools he wanted and a quarterback. He has the arm, the size, the athleticism. But when it came to the mental game, I think maybe they wanted to wait that out. And when he came on such short notice on week 2 against the Chiefs, and for him to go toe-to-toe against Patrick Mahomes and then Tom Brady last week, I think for the Chargers, they probably feel like, maybe we got something right here after 3 games.
Can the O-line minus really 3 starters hold up tonight, or are they really constructing this offense to protect Herbert in the absence of some of those linemen?
Yeah, I know last week it was maybe a matchup-based kind of thing when they had max protection because Kyle Bowles and Buccaneers, they like to blitz on first and second down. So they had a lot of 3 tight end sets. Hunter Henry wasn't as involved because he was a blocker mainly. But it worked so well last week that I could see that coming, being in the game plan for this week against the Saints, Cameron Jordan and all those guys in that front seven. The Chargers haven't done too much over that, but the results from last week, they scored 31 points, and Justin Herbert still saw a lot of pressure, but he's been playing well with that pressure and finding guys around. He won't have Austin Eckler. That kind of hurts with those checkdowns, but he had guys like Justin Jackson, Joshua Kelly. Last week, guys like Tyron Johnson and Donald Barham, guys who were undrafted, stepped up. So it wouldn't surprise me that they're able to protect them like that again. And it also credits to Justin Herbert to kind of play through that pressure and just kind of making it work.
People here certainly in New Orleans know about Tyron Johnson, who prepped at Warren Easton, not far from where we are. Certainly a 5-star coming out of high school. We remember seeing him start his career at LSU. No Eckler tonight. How big of a deal is that in this ballgame?
I think it's very big. I know the Chargers are accustomed to having a lot of key injuries and playing a lot of starters down. But when you lose Austin Eckler, you lose more than just one guy. That guy does so much for the Chargers, from the passing game to the blocking game to the running game. Austin Eckler probably can make a case to be the most important player on offense. So it's going to be hard to replace that. I mentioned Joshua Kelly. He is a good power running back, but he has some fumbling issues. If he could kind of control that and go back to being this power back, they'll be okay. Justin Jackson is also kind of maybe a little more similar to Austin Eckler as a shifty guy, more athletic, to also catch from the backfield. So they're set up okay. But it's going to be tough. And if they're down Mike Williams again this week, that's going to hurt as well. But again, I just really like what Herbert did last week. We kind of getting so many people involved that maybe they'll be okay without Austin Eckler, but it's going to hurt them.
How healthy is flip it over defense? How healthy is Joey Bosa?
Not very healthy. He has 3 injuries currently right now that he's nursing. He has a knee injury, a tricep injury that he's had since week 2, and an ankle injury. And it just every time we talk to Joey Bosa, it's been the day after a game, usually on Mondays. He just looks mentally beat up, physically beat up. He's telling us he's beat up. He doesn't feel right. But with all the injuries to Melvin Ingram and Justin Jones, Derwin James, Drew Tranquil, I could go on and on, Chris Harris Jr., I think Joey Bosa feels like he has to be out there. He just got paid a bunch of money to be out there. I think he's putting a lot of pressure on himself. For the Chargers, it might be a good thing to have a bye week next week. They got pushed up from week 10. But knowing Joey Bosa and the kind of competitor that he is, I think he's going to be out there today.
Gilbert Manzano is our guest. He's Chargers beat writer for the OC Register, LA Daily News, the SoCal News Group. You can get him on Twitter at gmanzano24. What about that Chargers secondary? We know there's no Mike Thomas tonight, but are they up to the task, having already faced Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes? Now here comes Drew Brees.
You know, this Chargers secondary has usually been okay. They haven't been getting the takeaways, but they're at least, controlling the explosive plays, the big plays downfield until last week. Last week, I felt like since covering this team, that might have been the worst performance for the secondary, especially from Casey Hayward, who struggled. Michael Davis struggled against Mike Evans. Rayshon Jenkins was out of place a couple times. They have a young guy, Nazir Ali, a free safety. So I think all the injuries are probably catching up. But knowing Gus Bradley, he does well at controlling the explosive plays, and I know Drew Brees and Sean Payton like to push the ball downfield. So I think they're going to have a good game plan. The more concern for me for the Chargers might be Alvin Kamara. That's going to be a matchup nightmare for these guys, especially being shorthanded. But I think the Chargers secondary will probably be okay, especially with Michael Thomas being out there.
If it comes down to a kick, how much confidence is there in Michael Badgley?
I think it's a good amount of confidence in Michael Badgley. I know the Chargers have their history of bad luck when it comes to the kicking, but I think they feel like they got a kicker in Michael Badgley. He hasn't been in that situation where he has to, make a crucial kick or a game-winning kick. He's missed a few here and there, but so far, when it comes to pressure, Michael Badgley, he's done well in situations like that. I think the Chargers are okay with that, but he hasn't had that issue. I mean, that situation this year. So if it comes down to it on Monday Night Football, who knows what could happen.
Yeah. Hey, last thing before you go, Gilbert. Give me a key from the Chargers' standpoint. If they're going to come into New Orleans and get a win, fill in the blank. This has to happen.
They need the young defensive playmakers to step up. It can't be Joey Bosa on a bad knee, on a bad ankle, on a bad tricep trying to do everything for them. They get guys like Jared Tillery and Uchenna Nwosu, two key guys in the defensive line to step up and help out Joey Bosa and kind of create havoc in the trenches and disrupt Drew Brees. They have a chance. Even a guy like Kenneth Murray, the rookie linebacker, who's been solid but hasn't had the impact plays. If he's able to kind of, keep an eye on Alvin Kamara or maybe kind of force a key fumble or one of those big hits, I think they'll be okay and have a chance.
Gilbert Manzano at gmanzano24 if you want to give him a follow on Twitter, Chargers beat writer. We appreciate a couple of minutes, man. Hope you meet deadline tonight. Enjoy the game.
Thank you. Appreciate the time.
That's our pleasure. This is After Further Review. We're here at the Sazerac House in New Orleans. Such an awesome spot, man. If you haven't been down here yet, I can't stress it enough. Just put it on your list, man. When you come down to the city, you do a day. A lot of people like to hit the aquarium or, right down the street from us here, of course, the Ottoman Zoo uptown, or if it's the World War II Museum. My goodness, make sure you come to the Sazerac House. They have guided tours. You can check out more about booking a tour at the website. The website's gorgeous in and of itself. But where we are here in the bottom floor, windows all over, looking onto Magazine to our left and Canal behind us. It's just a beautiful building, and they spared no expense in putting together the interactive exhibits on the second and third floors here at the Sazerac House. So learn more about the history, the spirit, the traditions that have helped shape this city for almost 200 years. The Sazerac House is a place that you have got to check out. And we're so grateful for our sponsors here with Sazerac Company and Sazerac Rye, which is the official rye whiskey of AFR. It's been a great partnership, and we're thrilled to be here tonight for Monday Night Football for the Saints and the Chargers. We'll be watching the game here in the ballroom on the fourth floor with our tailgate VIP, Sazerac tailgate VIP winners. So the grand prize winner and a group of 12 buddies all get to come watch the game. We'll be hanging out upstairs with a little dinner and drinks and watching the Saints hopefully get a big win tonight over the Chargers. We're glad to be here and glad to have you with us as well. So thanks for being part of our show today. All right, it's After Further Review. We'll knock out a quick break. Final break here of hour number 2. Brain will have Tigers in the pros when we come back. Next hour, Sean Fazende will give us a scene setter from over at the Dome. Much more to talk about, though, as Ed Orgeron continues to recap the loss to Missouri. But not just that, how this program moves forward from it and what is there ahead for this team for the remainder of this season. We're talking plenty about that as we continue. Glad to have you hanging out with us here on a Monday edition of AFR from the Sazerac House in New Orleans.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by the Baton Rouge General Hospital, online at brgeneral.org. brgeneral.org for the Baton Rouge General Hospital. Of course, as I've told you so much, our friends at the Baton Rouge General have done amazing work amid the COVID pandemic, caring for COVID patients. It's been a necessity of basically every medical center, and the Baton Rouge General has taken that charge very seriously. They've even reopened the emergency room at the Mid-City location. But on top of that, they're continuing to care for the residents of Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas in every way possible. Cancer treatments. Of course, this month, with it being Breast Cancer Awareness Month, they're stressing for the ladies in our lives to go get your mammogram. As they say, protect your pumpkins. You can get more information about all the screening and the availabilities at brgeneral.org. brgeneral.org for the Baton Rouge General Hospital, partnered with the Mayo Clinic Care Network, advancing care for the greater Baton Rouge area. It's the Baton Rouge General Hospital. Learn more. brgeneral.org.
To build.
The media disclosing Miles Brennan, that big shot he took near the end of the game, left him a little sore, so he will not practice today, as you heard Ed Orgeron say there, but should be good to go against Florida. And one of the things, if you were not here with us at the start of the show today, that I mentioned then and is worth mentioning now, while It would be negligent of me not to discuss the very obvious negatives associated with the defensive performance on Saturday and what we've seen through 3 games. Clearly, they have a long way to go on that side of the ball. And we're also going to talk about what this team still can achieve this year, what's realistic, and we'll get to that right after the top of the hour. But you've also got to be able to mention the positives, because in the same way that when you win a game, and I say winning masks deficiency, so often when you win a game, you don't want to talk about the things that went wrong because it feels like you're just dogpiling. The same is true, and it doesn't mean you're sunshine pumping. We can point out the fact that Miles Brennan was a gigantic question mark, maybe the biggest question mark in college football, considering what he was inheriting. On being the guy who replaced the guy who just had the single greatest season for a quarterback in the history of college football, won the Heisman by the largest margin in the 85-year history of that award, and now here comes Miles Brennan, who sat for 3 years, now in his 4th year, getting his turn to play. Like, how would Brennan be able to take that from an offense that was so inept for so long? Then you hit this spike on the curve, and now it's the new guy, and how is he going to do? Week 1 to week 3, we have seen the progression from the guy that was holding the ball and patting it too long and not making good decisions to a guy who functioned within the offense at Vanderbilt to a guy that was making winning plays. On the 3rd possession of the game for LSU, it might have been the 2nd possession, 2nd or 3rd possession of the game, Brennan is rolling to his right. You'll remember the play. It was the 2nd possession. First play of the 2nd possession, Brennan rolling to his right, designed roll to his right, rope to Terrace Marshall on the sideline for 32 yards. Y'all, that's an NFL throw. And I know Rohan laughs. He's like, dude, every quarterback at this level can make NFL throws. And I do understand that. I'm not trying to diminish it. But, that's – not everybody can make that throw, y'all. Not everybody can, rolling to the right, make that throw on the run and just pin it right on the sideline. Brennan made winning plays on Saturday. The 75-yarder to Marshall was incredible. Hell, maybe the best ball he threw all day was the one to Torrey Carter. And the bigger question is, why you got Torrey Carter running a seam route? Put one of the other freak shows on the field that's actually going to catch that ball. I digress. Here was Ed Orgeron, a little more about how Miles Brennan has progressed.
Well, he's playing as good as I hoped he would. I can tell you that. And I believed in him, and I always believed in Miles. And I always said that. But I knew he had some stuff to get better at. I think the coaches have done a tremendous job of coaching him up. He's a coachable kid. He's in here every day. He's the first one I see here all the day. And he's studying. He's getting better. He's got a lot of want-to in him. So, yes, he is playing as well as I have hoped that he'd play.
Ed Orgeron talking about his quarterback, Miles Brennan. It is After Further Review, brought to you by South Point Volkswagen, southpointvw.com. New and certified, pre-owned in Baton Rouge and online at southpointvw.com. Southpointvw.com. Check out our friends over at South Point Volkswagen. If you're in the market for a new vehicle or might be in the market for a new vehicle, make sure you check out South Point Volkswagen. New and certified, pre-owned, amazing specials. Maybe you want to try out the all-new 3-row 7-seater Volkswagen Atlas, the family SUV that is versatile, stylish, has great performance, great gas mileage, and is affordable. It's all at South Point Volkswagen. SouthPointVW.com. South Point Volkswagen, what's your direction? Okay, we're here at the Sazerac House in New Orleans. Brain's back in studio, and Brain has Tigers in the pros.
Tigers in the pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now. Presented by Kentucky's Best Hemp. Find them online at kysbesthemp.com.
Odell Beckham Jr.
Heard of it.
Was not to be outdone by Jarvis. Yeah, he's not bad.
Yeah.
Not to be outdone by Jarvis Landry. Beckham completed a pass yesterday for 18 yards. So
what, did he throw it
Tigers,
left-handed?
He did not throw it left-handed.
Fraud.
No, and it also wasn't for a touchdown, so I guess technically
fraud.
Jarvis still has bragging rights. But they're both 1-for-1 on the year with that QB LSU right there.
Good
Beckham also had
percentage there.
But I'm telling you, they're looking good. Beckham also had a role as wide receiver. Imagine that. 5 catches for 58 yards. Keeping it with the 4-1 Browns. How weird is that to say? Jarvis Landry had 4 catches for 88 yards in yesterday's win. Patrick Queen had about as full of a box score as you could have yesterday.
Let's hear it.
9 tackles, 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss, 2 forced fumbles, 1 fumble recovery, and a touchdown. Only bad thing about that was who it was against. Joe Burrow and the Bengals had a rough go of it. Burrow, I know, dude. It was hard.
I know you're going to get to it. There was some tiger-on-tiger crime there.
I did. Burrow was held to 183 yards, 19 of 30 passing. He had an interception, and Queen's forced fumble and recovery was chasing down and just clobbering Joe Burrow.
It's like Burrow didn't even see him coming, man. Queen was chasing the backside, and I think Burrow hesitated, and Queen threw a shoulder into him and forced the ball loose. Hell of a play by Queen, man. Like, it's amazing. That's a guy who was a starter for not even a full season at LSU, man. But he flashed. Everybody saw it, and it's kind of the Ali Gay effect, man. You have that 1 year where you flash, and like, yep, Sunday guy, we'll take you.
I felt the urge. I wanted to send Joe Burrow some salve from KYSBestHemp.com.
From
KYSBestHemp.com.
I don't know how we're going to do it on remote. I was thinking about that earlier. Like, how are we going to do
We
this?
might just pass.
No, I'm going to
Clyde Edwards-Helaire, 40 yards on the ground, 40 yards through the air as well. I said Helaire.
You said Helaire.
I said Helaire.
Emphasis on the E, not the layer. Helaire.
Oh, my word.
It's not
I think you're just hearing it wrong on the you're hearing it wrong on the remote.
Said Clyde Edwards-Helaire. It's Clyde
You're breaking
Edwards-Helaire.
up, Matt. You're breaking up.
Don't tell me that. They're going to scramble.
No. He sounds fine.
We had enough of those problems early.
Had two former Tigers show up and show out for the Eagles yesterday. Duke Riley, 13 tackles, 1 for a loss. Jalen Mills added 8 more. A few other NFL issue notes. Deion Jones had 8 tackles. Michael Brockers had 6 tackles. Quan Alexander had 5 tackles and a sack. Over to Major League Baseball, Alex Bregman was 2 for 4 last night, even though Houston lost to Tampa Bay. It translates to baseball as well. Right now, Bregman is 0 for 3 against the Tampa Bay Rays, and the Rays have a 3-0 lead in the bottom of the 5th.
Not paying attention.
That's your look at Tigers in the pros.
Don't care. I'm done with baseball. Over it completely. Done.
I can't imagine why.
Done. Over it. Not interested. Are they still playing, Brandon? I didn't even know they were still playing.
Bottom of the 5th, 1 out right now. Tampa has a 3-0 lead.
It's not Tampa. You got to stop with that. And I didn't even know
it translates to baseball. It totally works.
It doesn't work. All right. Thank you, Brent. Oh, by the way, that is Tigers in the Pros, brought to you by KYSBestHemp.com.
YesBestHemp.com.
I was just going
to there's latency.
Yeah, I know. So there's a little bit of a delay with me and Brain, so I don't know how we sync up the KYSBestHemp.com. KYSBestHemp.com. Kentucky's Best Hemp. Y'all check them out, KYSBestHemp.com. I had someone on private message me on Instagram today asking if they had a discount code. Yes, AFR30, AFR30, AFR30 gets you 30% off at Kentucky's Best Hemp, which is KYSBestHemp.com or KYSBestHemp.com for Kentucky's Best Hemp. Proud sponsor of Tigers in the Pros. That's former Tiger Lewis Coleman's company, so it fits. KYSBestHemp.com. All right, putting a button here on hour number 2 from the Sazerac House in New Orleans, right here on the corner of Magazine and Canal. Gorgeous. The sun's starting to set a little bit as we get toward dusk. When this place is lit up at night, it pops. It's so beautiful. You're heading down Canal. You can't miss it. It's after further review. We will knock out our top of the hour break here, get you caught up on national headlines from Sportscenter. A busy 5 o'clock hour. In about 20 minutes, we'll go over to the Dome. Our friend Sean Fazende, Fox 8, will give us a scene setter and a check-in from the Dome. And when we come back, though, Ed Orgeron recapping the loss to Missouri this past Saturday. How do they move forward? That's next. It's AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by the Williamson Eye Center and WilliamsonEYE.com. WilliamsonEYE.com, 924-2020, 924-2020, or WilliamsonEYE.com, no matter what your refractive issue is. If your goal is to spend your life and to be able to see without contacts or glasses, the Williamson Eye Center, they have a refractive procedure for you. But it starts by going to see Dr. Blake Williamson, by having that free consultation. Go over to their new state-of-the-art facility on the Baton Rouge General Campus. Off of Bluebonnet, you turn onto Picardy, come up to the light. I mean, it's right there in that building on the right. They're the first 2 floors. The optical shop's the first floor, and then the second floor is their state-of-the-art center. It is the Williamson Eye Center. If it's LASIK like I had 2 years ago, if it's a lens replacement like Jimmy Ott had a couple of weeks ago, they've got you covered at the Williamson Eye Center. 924-2020.
$10,000 off.
welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR presented by Relief Windows. Glad you're hanging out with us here from the Sazerac House on the corner of Magazine and Canal. And I'm so super pumped because I have two little friends that came to join me on set. If you're watching, you get to see. That's a Sazerac Rye, a little pour of Sazerac Rye, and a Thomas Handy 17. I'm excited about this. The 2017 Thomas Handy, I should say. So I'll sip on those a bit later. I'll wait right now. I wouldn't want things to be too free-flowing before the show's over. That's what whiskey and wine is for at the end of games on Saturdays. I digress. Hope you're having an awesome Saturday. Hope you had a fantastic weekend, the LSU game notwithstanding. But we get to cap off this football weekend with Monday Night Football tonight. Dome, Saints, Chargers, ESPN. If you're in Baton Rouge, you'll hear the game on our sister station, Eagle 98.1. And we will head over to the Dome, just, I don't know, a few blocks from where we are here. Coming up in 15 minutes, our buddy Sean Fazende of Fox 8 in New Orleans will join us to give us a bit of a scene setter from over at the Mercedes-Benz Superdome. So we're very much looking forward to that as we count down. I'll get you a pick on Saints Chargers before the end of the game today. If you missed it, Steve Levy of ESPN, the voice of Monday Night Football, is with us in Hour 1. Scott Shanley last hour, along with Gilbert Manzano, who covers the Chargers for the LA Daily News, was with us as well, covering this game from all sides. So one more guest to go in the next segment. LSU, of course, a massively disappointing loss on Saturday. Losing on the road to Missouri in a game where, as we've all said, you played well enough on one side of the ball to win. It is bizarre, and that might be mild, to look at a box score in a game where you put up nearly 500 yards of offense, scored 41 points, won the turnover battle 3-0, and actually, if you include the snuffing out the fake punt, it's really like a fourth turnover, and lose that ball game. It is mind-boggling how it happened, and there's two things in particular that people are talking about, and Ed Orgeron did address both of them today. One is the goal line sequence at the end of the game. Brandon, this is number 2 from today. The goal line sequence at the end of the game where LSU had 4 plays from inside the 2 and couldn't score.
No excuse on the goal line, none whatsoever. We need to get our best personnel in the game. When we're driving, we should get our best personnel in the game that fits the plays that we're calling. We should have had a better plan on the goal line. We're going to start on that today.
What's odd is that it was a very similar plan on the goal line to what we saw in Week 1 against Mississippi State. If you remember that game, LSU became very pass-happy in the first half of that ball game and started playing at a pace that they really weren't comfortable playing and tried to establish the run in the second half. As a matter of fact, LSU's first possession of the third quarter against Mississippi State, in my opinion, was its best possession of the ball game. It even went forward on a 4th and short inside its own 10-yard line, converted with Ty Davis-Price. They had a goal-to-go situation, could not get in the end zone after going run. Miles Brennan was sacked on third down. They settled for a chip shot field goal. You would have thought in that instance, after experiencing that Week 1, that you would have learned from it. Well, now you experienced it almost the exact same sequence played out. LSU has a 1st and goal from inside the 2, run, and now you have no timeouts and 2 plays remaining. They had no choice but to throw the football. But there's so many things that I think novice football people like me. I mean, I'm not a coach. I've never coached. I'm not X and O. I'm not drawing up plays, but I can understand trying to isolate a mismatch. Terrace Marshall was a mismatch. There was nobody on that team that could stop Terrace Marshall. Now, they did try to throw on third down the screen to Terrace Marshall, but why am I not using a 6'4" receiver throwing him a jump ball in single coverage out on the edge? I'm not trying to call plays for the coaching staff. I mean, that's what they get paid to do and what they do well. But I do think having the necessary personnel in the game in certain situations matters. And this is twice now when LSU's had those types of goal-to-go situations where it didn't work in very key settings. And maybe the thing that's more of the salt in the wound for that is that's what we always heard was Scott Linehan's forte. Red zone, goal line offense. That was his specialty. How he was going to bring different concepts in those situations. And it just hasn't translated. It's looked very benign, really, when LSU gets into that area. They've had success, but in large part they've had success because LSU's players are better. that wasn't the case when they needed to scheme up a score on Saturday, and they just couldn't do it. The other thing that obviously people are talking about is the defense. And that's the outlier. If anybody today is talking about Miles Brennan or anything or goal line offense or whatever, you're missing the mark, because that's not at all in any way why LSU lost this game. LSU, even though they were imperfect on offense and they had some drops, they did not turn the ball over. They put up 41 points. That should be good enough against any team you play to win a football game, and it wasn't because your defense was atrocious. Ed Orgeron today, 3 brain if we could. Ed Orgeron today talked about simplifying this defense to get everybody on track.
We had a long meeting yesterday about communication, about missed singles, about all kinds of stuff. And I'll just put it on the coaches. That's all that is. I'm not going to put it on the players. We got to execute better, but we got to practice better. We got to simplify. I told both Steve and Bo to simplify. Make sure that our players can do it. I don't care if we have to play one defense or one coverage. Play it right. Do whatever we need to do. Put our athletes in a good position and let them make plays.
You know what's strange when I heard Ed say that, run one defense if you have to run it, but make sure our players can do it. It almost reminded me of the way Les Miles approached offense. And I know a lot of people are going to cringe when they say that, when they hear me say that, but hear me out what I'll say. Les's offenses, to a fault in some games, never allowed a defense to dictate what they wanted to do. It was, this is what we are. We're going to line up. We're going to beat you at the line of scrimmage. We're going to control the line. We're going to run the ball, and we're going to throw it off a play action. That's what they were, for better or worse. A lot of times, we've heard Ed say, he even said it today when talking about why LSU didn't run the football. Well, we had to take what they gave us. And what they gave LSU was plays in the passing game, which they took, but look at how it transpired. At some point, you'd want to see them commit to running the football to shorten the game. Whenever you're playing at a breakneck pace, you're playing at the pace that Missouri wants to play, when what would have been beneficial is run clock. Look, LSU had the lead in the fourth quarter, and I was sitting at Don Juan Cigar Bar getting ready for whiskey and wine. LSU had the ball in the fourth quarter after the field goal at 41-38, and they put together a really nice drive. It was when the field goal got blocked. But, Booty kind of took over on that drive, and that's whenever they tried the deep pass to Torrey Carter. But the point was, in that drive, Miles Brennan snapping the football with 25 seconds left on the play clock. Like, in that setting, you have the lead late in the game. This is where you have to be able to be smart and milk clock, and they didn't do it. And all this ties together when talking about playing in a manner in which you do dictate pace. And you're not going to be able to do that against everybody. When you play the best teams on your schedule, sometimes you're going to have to evolve and adapt. But when you play Missouri, you should be able to dictate 10 times out of 10 the pace and tempo of that game. And LSU didn't do it, and it's why they lost. Brennan, I also want to play, if we can, Orgeron number 12, because he was asked today if the defense was just too complicated for his players.
I do believe that there was some complicated stuff going on. I do believe there was some miscommunication going on. Guys were out of position. Guys didn't play stuff right. We go back in the second half. We said we're going to blitz more. We had a blitz coming from the field. We had a miscommunication. They let the receiver go right down the field. That's on us. That's on the coaching staff. We got to make sure our guys know everything that we're going to do. If not, we're not going to run it.
Here's where I have a problem hearing a coach say some of the stuff we ran was too complicated. There is no defensive coordinator in America who is more cerebral with more stuff and packages and sub-packages and blitz packages than Dave Aranda. None. Dave's told the stories about, like, the spiral-bound notebooks he's had. Cody Worsham wrote an awesome piece a couple years ago about Dave Aranda where he talked about, like, all the boxes and piles and stacks of notebooks he has from everywhere he's been and all the notes he's taken and things that he's never even called. There is no more complex defensive coordinator in America than Dave Aranda, and LSU did okay with that. It's not that Bo Pelini's calling complex things. It's that he's not hasn't been able to communicate it and teach it to his players so they can execute it. That's the disconnect. LSU has Sunday players. You cannot convince me when I look at this team, you cannot tell me that LSU does not have enough talent to stop Mississippi State or Missouri when I watch Mississippi State go out against Kentucky and can't even score a touchdown. You cannot convince me that a Missouri team, which was inept moving the football against Alabama and against Tennessee, can just go up and down the field with a redshirt freshman quarterback against LSU because LSU doesn't have good enough players. I know LSU has Sunday players. They've got NFL talent. And I know that these guys can comprehend a complex defense because they did it with Dave Aranda. The in-between, the game of telephone, getting the message from coach to player and having them execute, that's where the disconnect is right now, and that's what they have to fix. I don't think simplifying is it. They were simplified against Mississippi State. They got beat over the top. They refused to go zone. Y'all, this team, as hard as it is for some people to think today, this team, in my opinion, is capable of beating any team on its schedule except Alabama. You're going to laugh at that. I get it. You can laugh at that. That's fine. We had a similar conversation 3 years ago. LSU got blown out by Mississippi State. They lost to Troy. And we were talking, are they going to be 500? Are they going to fire Ed? Is he going to be one and done? They go to Florida and win. They have the comeback win against Auburn. They beat every team on their schedule remaining except Alabama. They finished 9-3. I'm not telling you this team's going to win out except for the Alabama game. What I am telling you is this is a gut check moment. And in his career, Ed's been good in these moments. He deserves credit for that. When LSU's lost to Bama, that was always a bugaboo for Les Miles. They'd lose to Bama, and they'd go in the tank through November. Ed's never had that problem. When they've actually faced adversity, he's been a really good coach at helping his team come through adversity. Well, we thought it was after week 1. Now you got it for true. Now you got to go to Gainesville. And you got to play a Florida team that, quite honestly, is not very good on defense. They lost a ton of guys as well, and they're struggling to find their identity defensively. But they can score on anybody. What do? You can't tell me that LSU's not good enough to beat South Carolina or Arkansas or Ole Miss. You can't tell me they're not good enough to beat a Texas A&M team, which got blown out by Alabama. You can't tell me they're not good enough to win those games, to beat an Auburn team, which got pulverized by Georgia. You can't tell me LSU's not good enough, talented enough to be on the field with those teams. Can they arrange the pieces of the Rubik's Cube to make it all match before they get back on the field against those teams? That's the chore. That's the challenge for Ed Orgeron and the staff right now. We'll see if they can do it. Pulling for them, and I hope they can, because there's enough talent here on this team to be really good, and they're just not showing it right now. All right, it's after further review. Glad to have you hanging out with us here. Monday show is brought to you by Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com, 288-8130, ReliefWindows.com. Windows, doors, siding, Relief Windows, and ReliefWindows.com. We'll knock out a quick break. We'll head over to the Dome to check in with our buddy Sean Fazende to Fox 8 New Orleans. Quick check-in from over in and around Champion Square and the Superdome when we come back. It's AFR. Stick around.
AFR.
Not many people wake up on random Sunday and think they're going to make an important life purchase, but that happened to me yesterday. We woke up on Sunday, honest to goodness, true story. We woke up on Sunday morning, our home was hot, the AC was broken. I called River City's 1 Hour Air. They were at the house. Turns out, compressor was kaput, the whole unit, it was time. We had to put it to bed. We did. But before they'll ever install a new unit, River City's 1 Hour will always call a second technician out to verify the work, just to make sure that no step was overlooked and nothing was missed. So a second technician came out to my house at 6 o'clock on a Sunday night to make sure that was the process. Determined it was. They went through every option we had, replacing each part that needed to be replaced within that system to make it at maximum efficiency, and we could make the decision. They gave us all of the information possible. We made the decision, and today and tomorrow they're installing a new system at our house. It's never pleasant when you have to make that type of financial commitment to something that's not fun to make that type of financial commitment to, but I have a lot of peace of mind knowing River City's 1 Hour Air did it right, and my family is going to be in peace. River City's 1 Hour Air.
Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Yeah, all of it. I was sort of surprised to see the stat that we were in the bottom tier of our red zone defense, and that's something that you're not excited about. So as a collective, we've got to do better.
Saints defensive end Cam Jordan got his first sack last week. Hopefully onward and upward for the Saints veteran defensive end and this defense as a whole tonight as they welcome in the Los Angeles Chargers for Monday Night Football. Our buddy Sean Fazende, Fox 8 in New Orleans, on Twitter at Sean Fazende, Fox 8. He's good enough to join us from over in Champion Square for a couple of minutes as we are here a few blocks away at the Sazerac House on the corner of Magazine and Canal. Sean, as always, thanks for the time, man. How are you, dude?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing really well, man. Set the scene for us, what you see in and around the dome.
Nothing.
So weird, isn't it?
It really is. Ghost town. I'm literally the only person here. I'm at the Gate C, right where you walk up the steps on Champion Square to that plaza level of the dome here, and it's just me, my photographer, and we're just waiting to go into the dome in a couple of hours here. But hey, that's 2020 for you, right?
Paint the picture for the contrast for our audience on at 5:21 when the Saints are playing a home Monday Night Football game. What would it normally be like for you right now?
I probably couldn't do this interview with you right here, right now, because it'd be so loud. There'd be so many people. There'd probably be a few people probably trying to, high five and whatnot while I'm on the phone. So it wouldn't be a very cohesive interview, but it would be packed, black and gold. It's a lot of energy. They always bring it every week, but for primetime games in particular, Monday Night Football games, black and gold fans obviously, bring it up a couple notches, and that would have been the case here today, no doubt about it. It's tough. They tried to get some fans in. Their request was apparently denied. Hopefully that changes in a couple of weeks. We'll see. But, like Sean Payton said last week, nobody cares. You got to roll with the circumstances as is, and here we are with an empty Champion Square, but the game is still on, so we'll see.
A couple hours from kickoff. Do we know who is in and who is out today yet? I'm waiting for the announcement. Do we know yet?
The only I've been able to confirm a couple. Now, the official announcements will come out in I think it's about 5:45, 6 o'clock, something like that. Sheldon Rankins will play. That much I know. Jared Cook and Marshawn Lattimore should play. I don't have official confirmation on that. Andrew Speed's a curious one to look at because I think people were a little surprised that he was back in practice this week. So that's certainly one to look at. I don't know if he's up or down. And obviously the big one, Mike Thomas, is not going to play for reasons outside of football, or actually I guess technically on the football field. But in this case, not injury related. So those are the ones I've been able to confirm, but we'll get the official in a couple of minutes here.
Ramczyk?
He didn't have an injury designation on the final list, so I think he's good to go. But we'll get the official here, like I said, probably about 5:45-ish, something like that. So, yeah, he didn't have an official injury designation, though, so that's a good sign.
Of all the players you mentioned, who would be the most significant to have a return tonight in this matchup?
I think you just mentioned him. I mean, Ryan Ramczyk, especially if Bosa plays. And I don't know if Bosa's going to play, but you saw what happened when he left the game. I mean, that team was tearing Detroit's defensive line apart running the ball, and all of a sudden they couldn't run to either side. They only run to one side. So I think that's the one right there. I think if Pete can't go, I think Easton's been as good and in some instances maybe even better at points than Pete. You can certainly survive that. And, last week I thought the secondary played better with having both starting cornerbacks down. So if Lattimore couldn't go, I think you'd be okay there. But I just don't – the drop-off from Ramczyk to whoever would be next would be clearly significant, especially when you consider who they're up against.
Sean Fazende's with us on Twitter at Sean Fazende, Fox 8. Y'all give him a follow. What are they going to do in the return game today? Do we have certainty there?
That is a great question. Kamara has been the one that has done that. In years past, in the last couple of seasons when one season with Deontay Harris has not been able to go, but he's been such a force back there. That's a good question. I know Tommy Lewis was brought to the practice squad. I didn't see if he was brought up to the active roster, which would have made sense if that were the case. I just can't confirm that. But that's certainly something to watch. It's because of the net gains that they've been able to achieve with field position based on Deontay Harris's return ability. And that's, his punt return average is high without breaking one. So he's just been very consistent. So that's certainly something to watch this game.
What can you tell us, Sean, with regard to the Michael Thomas, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson incident? What have you been able to gather as to what happened?
Well, first off, it was a tough practice. They got into it as they normally, and that's important to point out, that Michael Thomas talking, C.J. Gardner-Johnson talking, back and forth to the point where it would get somewhat physical or whatever the case may be, is not completely out of left field. I mean, that's somewhat expected with hyper-competitive guys, and Thomas and C.J. Gardner-Johnson. There was an altercation afterwards with the coaches, and that is probably the reason you're seeing him essentially suspended for tonight's game and not C.J. Gardner-Johnson. And he was tossed out of practice, what I understand. And he is not he's obviously not going to play tonight. And you saw the way they were able to kind of, I guess, send it out where, they sent out the release that he's out with a non-injury related issue. And then obviously the leaks came out after that. So I think there was it went too far. And you just hope something like this doesn't linger into the locker room. Hopefully they nip it in the bud with this incident and with this, discipline here, because he's too good a football player to not have. And if he did this and it was that egregious, which clearly it was, to suspend your best, maybe the best wide receiver in football when he's been out for the last couple of games, is clearly there had to be something significant.
Sean, as long as you've covered the team, is there precedent for something like this, a player being suspended for something not a league issue but a team issued suspension?
I'm trying to think of if I can recall one that was made public. I do know there's been stats here and there, but that was never the official reason for a guy not being active. This one is, A, it's the highest profile, and B, it's probably the most, I guess you'd call it public, and how it was, reported, and now we all know the incident where it came out and how it ended up, happening, and now he's not playing. So, yeah, I would think this is the most. I can't think of another incident where it got this far to the point where we all know going in what the reason was. A player was essentially disciplined and or suspended, and it just so happens that player is Michael Thomas, arguably the best player on your roster.
Hey, Sean, before you go, and I know you're busy and your time always appreciated, a thought on the significance of this game if New Orleans is able to get a win and get above 500 going into the bye?
Well, I mean, all of a sudden you look at your division, Tampa Bay, who we knew was going to be good, at 3-2. Carolina, who we didn't know was going to be good. Boy, Joe Brady's looking good over there, and so is Teddy Bridgewater right now. They're 3-2. So all of a sudden, you got to win to keep pace a little bit. Now, obviously, you have plenty of time to turn it around, and a one-game deficit is certainly not the end of the world. But you're in a little bit of a situation here where perhaps one team you knew was going to be good is probably on schedule, and another team you didn't think was going to be all that good is maybe a little ahead of schedule in Carolina. And the Saints, for all intents and purposes, the first 4 games have been a little uneven. So I think it's important to get the win, to get to 3-2, but also you're in the NFC South. It's a competitive division, probably a little more competitive than we thought. And so wins are all valuable at this point. And so getting a 3-2 will certainly be a big deal for the Saints.
He is Sean Fazende, Fox 8 New Orleans, on Twitter at Sean Fazende, Fox 8. Good luck spelling it, as I say all the time. Seanfazende. Sean, we appreciate you, man. Thanks for a couple of minutes, as always.
No problem, bud.
All right, man, we'll see you. Sean and all of our guests receive a gift from Dead Soxy, the new standard and premium dress socks. We are getting close to holiday season. It's not too early to start thinking about shopping for the holidays. DeadSoxy.com, SOXY, DeadSoxy.com. As a matter of fact, if y'all are watching, I got my Houdat Dead Soxies on. DeadSoxy.com. Use the promo code AFR. No, I'm sorry. Use the promo code GO, G-E-A-U-X. Use the promo code GO, G-E-A-U-X, and get 30% off your order at DeadSoxy.com. Dead, S-O-X-Y, DeadSoxy.com. The new standard and premium dress socks with that patented technology that your socks will not slip. You pull them up mid-calf, and they will stay up all day long. It's like a magic trick. Check them out, DeadSoxy.com. Dead, S-O-X-Y, DeadSoxy.com. We appreciate them for giving each of our guests a gift for coming here on AFR. All right, it is After Further Review. Glad you're hanging out with us here. I'll give you a final preview and prediction of Saints-Chargers. We still got Autolocks coming up with Jimmy Ott, what we learned, all that good stuff. We're here at the Sazerac House in New Orleans, and so fired up to be here on the corner of Magazine and Canal in this gorgeous building. We'll be here watching the Monday Night Football game with our Sazerac Tailgate VIP winners and their guests up on the 4th floor here in the ballroom. If you don't follow me on Instagram, you should, because I'll be posting Instagram posts from here at the Sazerac House and from our VIP party. So follow me on Instagram at Matt Moscona, and you will see it there. All right, it is After Further Review. We will knock out a quick break, and we will return. I'll give you a pick on Saints-Chargers when we come back next. It's AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by Insurance Network of Louisiana. They're online at lainsurance.net. So they close at 5 o'clock, so it wouldn't be a great idea to call right now. But you could call Insurance Network of Louisiana, leave them a message, and they'll get back to you as soon as they get in the office in the morning. Or you could log on to lainsurance.net. That's the website, lainsurance.net. Click quotes at the top of the page, fill out a little info, and when they get in the office, they'll get started working to see if they can find you better coverage for less money. We all have to have insurance, and many of us have learned now through storm season what our hurricane deductible is, what our storm deductible is. What if you could lower or eliminate a hurricane deductible? We see that all the time. What if you could increase your umbrella policy and still save money? That's something that I found a few years ago where I quadrupled my coverage and saved $1,600 a year. It is possible. Better coverage for less money at Insurance Network of Louisiana. Check them out online at lainsurance.net.
If you have sleep apnea and struggle using CPAP, it can leave you feeling tired, irritable.
That's the cutest puppy I've ever seen.
Fatigued.
Can someone please help me lift this tissue?
Forgetful.
Who put this banana in the toaster?
You did?
Oh, yeah.
And even impact your long-term health. Fortunately, now there's Inspire, a sleep apnea treatment that works inside your body with just the click of a remote. That's right, a button. Inspire is a small device placed during a same-day outpatient procedure. Simply click the button on the Inspire remote before you fall asleep. As you sleep, Inspire keeps you breathing normally and sleeping peacefully. No mask, no hose, just sleep. Inspire, sleep apnea innovation. Inspire is not for everyone. Talk to your doctor to see if it's right for you and review important safety information at inspiresleep.com.
Previous hailstorms have caused hidden damage to countless Baton Rouge homes. Rice & Roofing spots the damage, makes the claim, and replaces your roof. You pay only your insurance deductible. Never anything more. Call Rice & Roofing today and schedule your free inspection. 330-3513. RiceandRoofing.com.
You think you should get to know your attorney before you make the important decision of who should represent you? The insurance companies know them and know if they don't settle for full value, the lawyers at Murphy Law Firm will fight for you. Visit murphylawfirm.com and the choice is easy. Offices in Baton Rouge.
TV and internet are out all over town, and you're on your backhoe staring at a hole in the ground. Could have used a shovel to clear the last few inches of dirt, but you were in a hurry. Could have been worse. There's a gas line in 20,000 volts a little farther down.
Think about it. Call 811 before you dig so the site can be marked. It's free and it's the law. Louisiana One Call 811.
What's holding you back from solving your tax problems? If it's cost, know that the longer you wait, the more expensive it'll be. Hi, this is Kerry Bryson with the Bryson Law Firm in Baton Rouge. Tax resolution doesn't have to be expensive, and waiting year after year to resolve your tax problems can be extremely costly. Interest and penalties on your tax bill won't.
About 30 seconds back.
Take the first step now and hire a tax attorney to help you. Call us at the Bryson Law Firm. We'll tell you in advance an affordable fee, which includes cost and expenses that works for your business or family. Your first visit to the Bryson Law Firm is free and confidential, so you have nothing to lose. But the longer you wait, the more interest and penalties you'll pay. Remember, if you have IRS issues, you have legal issues. You need an attorney. You need us, the Bryson Law Firm. Call us today or go to brysonlawfirm.com.
For further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Rolling along here on a Monday edition of AFR presented by Relief Windows, Windows, Door, Siding, reliefwindows.com. We're at the Sazerac House in New Orleans. They've been awesome hosts, and we're thrilled to be here. We'll tell you a bit more about the Sazerac House here in a second. Let me get you a final preview and pick on Saints-Chargers. The Chargers' defense got toasted by two of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, one in NFL history and one who's on his way, in Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes. Brady threw for 369 yards and 5 touchdowns. Mahomes, in a game that went to overtime, threw for 302 and 2 touchdowns. It would be so fitting for Drew Brees to join that company against a banged-up Chargers secondary with an elite edge rusher in Joey Bosa, who is battling a slew of injuries right now and is not up to his normal potential. It feels like a huge opportunity for Drew Brees, for these wide receivers, to build a lead and then let Latavius Murray be the closer. In my opinion, we've talked about this so much throughout the years, when the Saints have been at their best in the Peyton Brees era, it's when they've been able to get a lead and also run the football. Mike Detillier throws that stat around all the time. When the Saints rush the ball 30 times in a game, they're like 31-0 or something like that. He'll tell you the stat again on Thursday. The point is, when the Saints commit to running the football, they win, and I think they should be able to salt this game away late. The Chargers have only allowed one rushing touchdown all year, but in large part that's because teams have been able to throw the ball against L.A. Offensively, for the Chargers, rookie quarterback, their best running back, and maybe their best offensive player in Austin Eckler is out. Their left guard and left tackle with Trey Turner and Brian Bulaga are out. And remember, Pouncey, who is their center to start the season, so 3/5 of your offensive line are out, and you even committed in this offseason to building up that line. So a ravaged line in front of a rookie quarterback without his best running back. If you can stop Hunter Henry, and I'm not telling you this is easy, but we saw it on Monday night when the Saints played out in in Las Vegas against the Raiders, when you had no answer for Darren Waller. If your linebacker safeties can limit Hunter Henry tonight, and you're getting Marshawn Lattimore, just saw that news, is on the field, he's expected to play, you're going to be without Janoris Jenkins. But if Lattimore can play up to his standard and limit Keenan Allen, and your safeties and linebackers can do their job against Hunter Henry, this is a game where your edge rushers, your front line should be able to create enough pressure on Justin Herbert to get there early and often and win this game. I know the Vegas line is around 7. I think the Chargers are a team that scores in the 20 range. I wouldn't be surprised to see something like a 30-20 Saints win tonight. I do think they win. I think they cover as well. I think this is just a massive spot, even without Mike Thomas. This is a massive spot for New Orleans to get the win, to go above 500 going into your bye, to be 100% healthy coming out of the bye for such a key stretch against Carolina, against the Bears, before you go make that return trip to Tampa in what could be the game that giving you the season series against Tampa really propels you through to the division and back into the conversation for the 1 seed in the NFC. So tonight's just massive. Just like you had to win last week to put yourself in position tonight, they got to win tonight to give themselves that opportunity coming out of their bye to make that move. So I like the Saints tonight 30-20 over the Chargers. As I mentioned, we're here at the Sazerac House. Sam Godreau here from Sazerac is good enough to sit in with us for a couple of minutes, and I'm mostly happy that you're here because you brought me treats over here too. How are you, man?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Well, I'm really good now.
Better now.
Thank you for the hospitality, for having us.
Of course.
The venue is amazing. Like, when you come to work here every day, do you just sometimes look around and be like, holy crap, this is so cool?
It's unreal. Watching the kind of our guests and visitors come by and experience this for the first time, and their eyes light up when they see some of the really awesome technology we have here, or they get to meet the guys in the distillery. It's amazing. You know, there's not many people that get to say they come to work in such an amazing facility as I do.
On the back side, if you're watching us, we have the Sazerac House logo behind us, and you can kind of see where we are here. I guess this would be the lobby, right?
Yep.
I mean, you call it the lobby. Mm-hmm. So it's where they have the gift shop and this giant wall of bottles. How many bottles again? You told me once.
1,010.
And there's no significance to the number. It's just that's
how
many fits, right? On 4 floors worth of bottles, backlit. It's gorgeous. Anyway, can you show that, Joe? Okay, sorry, I don't have my eye on the camera. But anyway, when you go to the second floor, and you mentioned the distillery, like on the other side of that wall, They're distilling whiskey
We're
right
making
there.
Sazerac Rye right here.
It's
in the heart of downtown New Orleans.
It's incredible. Like when you can actually come and see that process happen every single day. It's magnificent. Not only that, but the building. Maybe you could shed a little more light on this. The building itself, how like what this building was and has been restored.
Sure, it's historic in nature, from the 1800s, and actually it sat vacant for the last 30 years before we were able to take over and turn it into what it is today. Things from storage space to hats and glove stores and appliance stores. I think this is the best version of the building, though.
This building, it's the strangest thing. I think I sent a message to Kevin after we were here doing our tour about a month ago. I don't know if he told you, but so I went and talked. So my whole family's New Orleans born and forever. My grandparents, thankfully, are still alive. My grandfather's 88. And after I came, he looked at the picture. He said, your grandmother's mom, your great-grandmother, worked in that building when it was a drugstore, like in the 1930s. So it was amazing. So I'm like showing the picture, and we went and looked up an old picture of the drugstore she worked in when it was here. And I was like, I'll be damned. That is the actual, that's what it was. So like we're in a building where my great-grandmother worked like in the 1930s,
awesome.
Which I know it really is. It's really
full circle moment for you.
It kind of is, man. You just think about where you're sitting, and I love history too. So it is cool in that respect.
Piece of New Orleans history for sure.
It is. So when people come through, give us the rundown as far as if people come to take a tour, because I know for COVID everything had to get shut down. But give us the rundown.
Yeah, so right here on the corner of Canal and Magazine, we're open Tuesday through Sunday, 11 a.m. to 6 p.m., offering guided tours of our facility, this kind of spirited cocktail experience, as we like to call it. Previously, it was a self-guided tour pre-COVID, but in order to kind of keep our guests and visitors safe, it's a guided tour now. So you'll check in at our front desk and then be escorted by some of our awesome tour guides here from the third floor and work your way down, learning all about cocktail history, the history of some of our more famous brands, and what it really takes to get, from the grain to the barrel to the bottle, making Sazerac Rye whiskey. And it's a really great experience, and it's completely free, complimentary. Go to SazeracHouse.com to reserve your ticket and come and see us.
SazeracHouse.com. The website's awesome, too. I mean, like, you can spend a lot of time on the website and kind of get lost in there, but SazeracHouse.com. All right, so you brought me 2 treats.
I did.
And I forgot which one you told me was which.
I know which one's which, yep.
I guarantee you this is going to be the easiest blind tasting that I've ever done, because one of them is 90 proof and one's 127 proof, and I've had them both.
That's correct.
Why don't you tell people what I'm drinking?
So right there on your left is our tried and true.
No, you were supposed to tell me.
Oh, I'm not supposed to tell you?
Oh, man, I'm going to do the blind taste. Well, now I know what it is, but anyway. It would have been very.
Sorry, I ruined it.
It's all good. This is going to be very easy for me. But anyway, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, right there on your left is the tried and true Sazerac Rye. This is our flagship brand here at the Sazerac House, and a fantastic whiskey. It goes great in the Sazerac cocktail, obviously, but also in things like a rye old fashioned, Manhattan, and then
or neat
on the rocks, and also use it the way you use your favorite whiskey. Sometimes people are scared to use a good whiskey or a whiskey they might not know too much about.
Mm-hmm.
People know bourbon but don't always know too much about rye.
Yeah.
Put it with cola, put it with ginger ale, ginger beer. Do it the way you like to drink it. Just drink it.
I always say enjoy whatever you like. If you're a bourbon and Coke guy, do you.
Absolutely.
If you want to learn, it's a spirit. It's meant to be enjoyed. If you want to learn more about different ways to enjoy spirits, there's plenty of ways to do that as well. Sazerac Rye is awesome. I would say rye tends to be spicier in nature. So if you like a spicy spirit, or if you're not sure if you do, just try it.
Give it a
shot. It's amazing. At 90 proof, it's super drinkable. The flavor pops. It's such a full-bodied rye whiskey, and the retail on that's $27.99, right?
Yep.
I mean, it's super affordable to premium taste. I always say just because something is expensive doesn't mean it's good.
Absolutely.
And just because something's good doesn't mean it's expensive.
Right.
And that's proof positive of this. Now, this is one of the BTACs, the Buffalo Trace Antique Collection.
That's right. You know what you're talking about. I don't have to do anything over here.
Well, go ahead.
So this is Thomas Handy Sazerac.
You talk, I'll drink.
Uncut, unfiltered, just over 127 proof. So like you said, we went from 90 proof to 127 proof, a little over 127 with this one. It's a very similar profile, just very much intensified.
Yeah.
It's got a mouthfeel. It's probably a little bit different.
The Kentucky hug is right here.
You can feel it on your insides.
It is a very long finish. Like, it starts to open up after you swallow it to get off the palate, and then you get this very long finish. But it's the Handy's magnificent, man. And I learned who Thomas Handy was when I came and took the tour.
Absolutely.
So I never even knew he was actually responsible for the Sazerac cocktail moving from cognac to rye, which
correct.
I never knew.
Yeah.
Which it's so cool. Even if you're not into to whiskey, or if you're not a drinker or spirit.
It's history. It's American history.
It's American history. It's certainly New Orleans and Louisiana history, and the way that you all pulled it all together here at the Sazerac House is just—it's awesome.
Thank
you. You were with me when I was like
there was lots of Instagram stories going on that day.
I was the giddy little kid, like going through the really cool exhibit. So, thank you for having us. We appreciate it. We're gonna hang. We got to get you a different shirt though. He's got a Tulane shirt on for those listening. But
it's my alma mater, man.
Respect, man.
Thank you.
Respect. We're gonna be hanging out here. Of course, our friends at Sazerac, they put on the Sazerac Tailgate at Home sweepstakes. And so we're going to watch Monday Night Football here tonight with our grand prize winners. So how many? It's about 15 or so?
So I think we have a group of about 12 lucky winners that enter the tour sweepstakes and have a really awesome party waiting for them upstairs.
So we'll watch the game, a little dinner, we have some.
There's certainly more whiskey.
Okay, good. I would hope so at the Sazerac House we'd have more whiskey, which I will certainly enjoy as well. Thank you. We appreciate the hospitality.
Much, awesome.
You got it, man. All right, it's after further review. We are here at the Sazerac House, Corner Magazine and Canal again. You can always book a tour at SazeracHouse.com. SazeracHouse.com. Let me knock out our final break of the show. When we come back, we'll have Otterlocks, what we learned, and we will wrap up next to handing you off to Monday Night Football. Stick around here on AFR.
AFR.
If you are thinking of selling your home, call Darren James. Get your home sold. 335-7666. 335-7666 or agent225.com. Agent225.com. You might be thinking, Matt, I'm just going to do it myself. Do the buy owner thing. Okay, you can try that route. But 73%, nearly 3 out of 4 people who list their home for sale by owner end up hiring a realtor. And the reason is obvious. It may not seem it at first, but maybe you don't know how to price your home properly. Maybe you don't know the comps or when to make an adjustment. Maybe you're just not home for showings whenever someone requests one. Whatever the case may be, nearly 75% of people that list their home for sale by owner hire a realtor. Save yourself the time and the hassle.
10.
Call Darren James and get your home sold. 335-7666, 335-7666, or agent225.com. Think real estate. Think Darren James.
Hey, this is Jordy Collada for St. Vincent de Paul. Make a donation that truly helps.
Presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Down the stretch we come, final segment here on a Monday edition of AFR, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, Relief Windows, and reliefwindows.com. Cannot thank our friends here at the Sazerac House enough for their hospitality, for hosting us. They are closed on Monday, so for them to open up for us today means a lot of people who normally aren't working today are here today. But they did this. They put on the big promotion for our tailgate at home for our VIP winners who are going to watch the game here with us. And it's just our friend Jay Ducote on Talk 107.3 is behind us doing a show also in the same room right now. Joseph Rodriguez, Rick Cantu, Bo Wegman, everybody who helped make this broadcast possible so I can just sit here and talk. I just appreciate everybody very much. And to all of you for listening, shout out, many thanks. We appreciate you for being here. Brain, let me know if we're good, if we're connected with Jimmy. We're going to do Otter Locks if we can get him. I think we're having some trouble connecting. No biggie. Jimmy Ott follows
Still having
us.
that trouble.
Yeah, no worries. Jimmy Ott follows us here. And if you can't get him, it's all good. Two things, little newsy items I want to check off before we get out of here. And it's okay, Brain, if we can't get him, don't sweat it. Vandy and Mizzou have become the first SEC game postponed by the virus, by COVID-19. Vanderbilt had a number of positive tests that, in accordance with the SEC's COVID-19 policies, cannot play this weekend. So, because of positive tests and then contact tracing. So that game's been moved to December 12th. A lot of people are no doubt going to freak out about that. And what I would point to you is that in every single sport that has resumed action, we have seen this at some level in some form or fashion. The key is that the SEC took the necessary steps from the onset to make sure that they had built-in protections for things like this. It's why they built in a bye week and the December 12th playing date as well, in case if games had to be moved. So that's what's going to happen with Vandy and Mizzou. They'll move their game from this weekend to December the 12th, the week before the SEC championship game. So it's a success. And I'll remind you, in 4 weeks of action now, that's one game. So 27 of the 28 games on the schedule will have gone off without a hitch through the first month. And the further along we get, and as we've talked about many times over, the more that players contract the virus or test positive, they don't have to test again for 90 days. It makes your way through the season, whether you want to acknowledge that right, wrong, or indifferent. It's similar to, I guess, the same conversation we're having with the Saints with Mike Thomas. As much as you'd love him to play this week, this week and tonight, by sitting him, it actually kind of buys you another full week of recovery before a game week with the bye this week. So it's sort of an unintended positive out of a negative, but Vandy and Mizzou will not play. Now, the other thing that's worth keeping an eye on, and we've not heard from Florida yet, but after the game on Saturday when Florida lost at Texas A&M, Dan Mullen very publicly lobbied for the University of Florida to pack Ben Hill Griffin Stadium at capacity because the governor in Florida, Ron DeSantis, has lifted COVID restrictions and does now allow for capacity crowds. Dan Mullen doubled down on that today, and said he's been preparing for LSU. If you think, I think if you look at what we've been able to do, the safety precautions we have that our players have followed, our coaches follow, our staff follows, I think we're a model of safety in what we've been doing during this time period. I'm proud of how we handled everything and how safe we've been with everything, and we're doing all the precautions we've had in place during this time. So he talked about Texas A&M doing it successfully, doing a great job having fans, and he said, I've talked to people because I've really He said, I haven't talked to people because I've been focused on trying to beat LSU, but he doubled down and said, what our government officials all say, what everybody does for the game, what we need to do is however many people they allow into the stadium, we try to work as hard as we can, all the Gator fans, to create the best game day atmosphere we can. So Dan Mullen not backing off of his statement, hoping that they will have 100% against LSU. Now we're waiting to see what the admins at Florida will allow, but that's what their coach is lobbying for, in the same way that the Saints a week ago lobbied for fans for their last home game. The mayor obviously did not concede. Hopefully for the next game there will be fans. But Florida, especially because it's LSU week, it's certainly even more notable this week. to keep an eye on what happens with the University of Florida and attendance. So if and when we get any news on that, we'll certainly pass it along to you. All right, y'all, that's going to do it for us here on a Monday edition of AFR from the Sazerac House in New Orleans. So grateful to everybody who helped put this broadcast together. Appreciate all of you for listening and watching. I like the Saints tonight 30-20 over the Chargers. Brain, what did you learn today?
I learned that you're sipping some darn good whiskey right now.
How about that?
Matt, what'd you learn?
That I'm sipping darn good whiskey. And I'm going to drink a lot more of it tonight. Y'all have an awesome night. See you tomorrow. As we get on down the road, we remind you about the aesthetic medicine and anti-aging clinics of Louisiana, Bluebonnet in Baton Rouge, Ambassador Cafferty in Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com. All throughout the month of October, their specials are blood specials. In correspondence, of course, with the month of Halloween. So, like PRP with microneedling. PRP is platelet-rich plasma. They'll draw a vial of your blood, they'll put it in the centrifuge, they'll pull out the plasma, then they'll use this microneedling pen. They'll trace it all over your face. It doesn't hurt, but it tricks your body into your skin into thinking it's being damaged, so your body creates the healing response, and then they rub the platelet-rich plasma on that skin that's being healed. It will beautify, tighten, tone your skin. Trust me, it's amazing. Actually, Terrio and I did it last year. It's microneedling with PRP. It's discounted this month at the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. TheAntiAgingClinics.com. TheAntiAgingClinics.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona with fantastic news. The Sazerac House has reopened and now offering
Brain, thanks,
fully guided tours.